full-time mage, I have a traveling panda. Welcome back, brave explorers of impossible worlds. We are excited to have you here to continue this odyssey together. Before we continue, everything you'll hear is pure fiction, so please don't try to replicate combat techniques at home. This wonderful story in all its rights belong to its brilliant original author. We are only the messengers of entertainment. Want another dose of adventure? Subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a single chapter, and if you can't wait, our Patreon has exclusive surprises you'll love. Chapter 51 Earthly Holy Spring Magic Duel. Time flies like an arrow, and the days slip by like falling petals on flowing water. In the blink of an eye, it was May, the day of Mo Fan's duel with Yuang. This duel concerned not only the dignity of Mo Fan and the Mu family of Bo City, but also the sole right to use the earthly sacred spring. Bo City was one of many small cities in the south, but uniquely, it was a third-tier city. The reason was that Bo City possessed a rare and precious treasure called the earthly sacred spring. The earthly sacred spring could enhance the efficiency of a mage's cultivation, and even had the miraculous ability to break through to the intermediate level. Don't be fooled by the weak mage sequence. The difficulty of advancing was no less than that of the demon evolution sequence. In such a large city as Bo City, there were only a handful of intermediate-level mages, and having two high-level mages was considered extremely fortunate. One was Principal Zhu of Xianlin High School, and the other was Captain Zhang Kong of Zufang Mountain Station. 3 years had passed, and as the saying goes, one is influenced by one's company. Having spent a lot of time with Hongyun, Mo Fan's arrogant expression softened, and his sharp eyes became more subdued. With Hongyun's help, his lightning element had already reached the intermediate level ahead of schedule. After hearing Hongyun's account of the world outside Bo City, Mo Fan became much more humble and no longer considered the Mu family of Bo City as an opponent. Yuang was nothing more than a clown in his eyes. On his way home, he turned and entered Hongyun's house. In the courtyard, Hongyun was shirtless, holding a 3-meter-high boulder in his hands, which was his equipment for exercising. "Old Mu, you're really a monster. One punch from you, even an ordinary warrior-level demon wouldn't be able to withstand it. As the saying goes, you learned from the people you associate with." Mo Fan now spoke of warriors all the time, completely disregarding servant-level demons. Ordinary warriors? Even a great warrior, one punch from me, and it would be stunned for 3 rounds, Hongyun said bluntly. His body refinement realm of dragon marrow and tiger bone had made some progress, reaching the first level. During this time, Meng Lan went on another trip and brought back a blue item, the mountain shaking manual. It was an ordinary fist technique, also known as the stubborn fist, whose fundamental intent was you can kill me, but I just won't submit. In Bo City, the Mu family had already begun setting up the venue for the magic duel. Although the scene was grand, Mu's Huan and Mu He were both worried. The reason was that Mo Fan had inexplicably gone to play with Hongyun. Now Hongyun was like a poisoned cake, everyone wanted a piece, but whoever took a bite would die. He only had a worried expression, but what he was thinking about was what happened last night. Last night, after the dogs had all fallen asleep, only the guards and patrolling security guards were still awake at the Mu family manor. He quietly left his own villa and went to Yuang's villa. Yuang's villa was dark and the lights were off, but as soon as He entered, he immediately noticed a beautiful figure with a graceful figure. It was that person. He's heart skipped a beat. "My lord." Upon seeing that figure, He immediately knelt down and lowered his head, not daring to look up. Things in Bo City are going quite well, aren't they? So many high-level mages have suddenly appeared in the last 6 months, and there's even a super-level mage. In the silent room, a calm voice, suppressing anger, suddenly rang out. For some reason, after hearing this voice, He gradually felt his breathing become increasingly difficult, and the surrounding environment became increasingly oppressive. "My lord, spare me." He's face turned a deep purplish red as he pleaded with a graceful figure. "Then tell me, what should we do about this?" The calm voice sounded again. "My lord, these people are all after Hongyun. It really has nothing to do with us," He said softly. Hongyun, the one who has the emperor and the supreme monarch as his backers to attack Pang Mountain. Salang's calm tone finally showed a slight change. "Indeed, my lord," He said, bowing his head. "I really don't know if those aristocratic families are truly stupid or just pretending. Daring to plot against someone protected by a real emperor, they're courting death," Salang sneered. "Then, sir, what should we do?" He asked hesitantly. Proceed as planned. Even if a few more high-ranking officials appear, so what? There's more than one commander outside Bo City. Besides, if chaos erupts, the official's super-ranking mates should deal with Hongyun. Selang said coldly. Upon hearing this, He immediately replied, yes, I understand. That night, in Hongyun's courtyard, Hongyun, Mo Fan, Mo Jiaxing, Yi Xingsha, and Zhang Xiaohao gathered to grill skewers. Mo Fan, as a fire mage, was the main grilling chef. Zhang Xiaohao looked at the large fish, which weighed over 50 pounds, and asked, Brother Fan, Brother Mu, how do we cook this big fish? Hongyun examined it for a few moments and then said, how about we make it into chopped chili fish head? You and Mo Fan can share the rest of the fish body. With that, a faint white sword aura extended from Hongyun's little finger, and he sliced off the fish head as easily as cutting tofu. It must be said that Mo Fan has changed quite a bit. The Mo Fan of the past always tried to track Mu Ningxia with his melancholic, is a difficult word to translate directly, but it implies a state of being listless, or, personality, easygoing, and dashing. Only when Hongyun told him that only hard-working and earnest men are truly charming, and that he shouldn't be a simp, would he succeed. Therefore, the current Mo Fan is quite different from the character in the original story. Chapter 52 Magic Duel. The Mu family sent out invitations very early. Almost everyone with a bit of fame in Bo City received one, and even a few ordinary people got invitations. Hongyun naturally received one too, regardless of whether he attended or not. The Mu family sent him one, and his invitation had a few extra gilded characters compared to others. Hongyun was terrified that Hongyun would cause trouble during the magic duel. If Hongyun knew Hongyun's thoughts, he would definitely laugh out loud. Hongyun had also explained to Mo Fan why Hongyun was making such a big fuss about the magic duel. It was to let Yang step on Mo Fan to rise to the top, adding a festive touch to Yang's coming-of-age ceremony. However, Mo Fan had now entered the intermediate level and possessed a stack of magical talismans. If Yang dared to take a single Heavenly Thunder talisman, Mo Fan would have to kneel down and beg Yang not to die. On the day of the duel, Mo Fan casually wore a large t-shirt, shorts, and flip-flops and pushed Zin Xiao out the door. Mo Jiaxing locked the door and said, Mo Fan, go call Xiao Mu. Mo Fan waved his hand and said, no need, I just asked him, and he said he'd be there shortly, and told us to go first. Alright then, let's go. The Mu family manor was bustling with activity early in the morning. Before 8 o'clock, one luxury car after another drove along the winding mountain road to the manor. Mo Jiaxing drove up to the Mu family manor. At the gate, Mo Fan even encountered his former city management team member, but unfortunately, after meeting Hongyun, he left the city's demon hunting team. Following Hongyun, they ran directly outside the Anji. Outside the Anji, Mo Fan felt that Hongyun's strength was even more unfathomable. Whether it was servant demons or warrior demons, none of them could withstand a single sword strike from Hongyun. HMPH, you actually dare to come? Guo Keidang, who is half a member of the Mu family, looked at him sideways and said arrogantly. Mo Fan simply replied with a hum. This feeling of punching cotton infuriated Guo Keidang. Looking at Mo Fan's cheap attire, she sarcastically said, you know you're destined to fail, so you're just here to make a show of things and leave? If you apologize to me, I might make Yang go easy on you. With that, Guo Keidang smiled contentedly, as if she couldn't stand not showing off her presence. Apologize to you? Mo Fan raised an eyebrow at Guo Keidang, then sneered, who do you think you are? An outsider living under the Mu family's roof, enjoying their resources. I don't know if your father is just weak or incompetent. You dare to plead with Yang? You're not worthy. Mo Fan's words weren't harsh, he was simply stating the truth. But the truth is often unpleasant. Hearing Mo Fan's words, Guo Keidang's eyes instantly reddened, indicating that 80% of what Mo Fan said was true. After rebuking Guo Keidang, Mo Fan, feeling quite pleased, pushed Zin Xiao inside. After entering the manor, Zin Xiao was entrusted to Mo Jiaxing's care. Mo Fan planned to eat something delicious first to fill his stomach. As the saying goes, you can't skimp on your own stomach. Stepping into the grand banquet hall of the Mu family manor, he indeed saw countless tempting dishes. Having not eaten breakfast, Mo Fan immediately went forward and began to feast. Since Hongyun drew the Shaking Mountain manual, He not only studied it himself but also taught it to Mo Fan. Mu Hongyun planned to use the Shaking Mountain manual to open up a martial arts sequence in this world, but opening a sequence was extremely difficult. Mu Hongyun would only be qualified to become a martial arts master after reaching the refining spirit level. After Mo Fan began practicing the Shaking Mountain manual, ordinary food could no longer satisfy his needs. During this time, he often went out of Anji with Mu Hongyun to hunt demons and eat their flesh. So it's no wonder he was so hungry this morning, as there was no food. Because he saw so much food, Mo Fan didn't even notice Zhan Kong standing to the side. Surrounded by several young women, Zhan Kong briefly said goodbye and came to Mo Fan's side, saying, "Good lad, you actually dared to keep your promise. Hey, Chief Instructor, you're here to freeload too." Mo Fan was visibly surprised to see Zhan Kong. "Ahem, what are you saying? To be honest, after graduation, do you want to join my unit? That way, you'll be one of our top talents. If you can get into a good magic academy, I'll sell everything I own to support your university expenses," Zhan Kong said sincerely, adding, "With a military protecting you, the country is your backing. You can trample on whoever you want, as long as you're in the right." It must be said that Zhan Kong's eye for talent was much sharper than Mu Huan's. Even before Mo Fan revealed his innate dual elemental abilities, he had already recognized Mo Fan's potential. What a ripoff. A huge ripoff. I'm fine with contributing to the country, but if you want me to do the boring border duty, you'd better find someone else. Mo Fan wanted to quickly shake off Zhan Kong and continue his work of freeloading. Why are you so dense? What's so great about big cities? Zhan Kong persisted. Alright, Chief Instructor, I'm not going to join the army. If the country needs me, I'll definitely do my part, but I absolutely will not enlist. Mo Fan pushed Zhan Kong away and stuffed a large roast chicken into his mouth. By the way, I heard you're getting quite close to that kid named Mu Hongyun. Let me tell you, Mu Hongyun has offended a lot of people, Zhan Kong whispered to Mo Fan. Mentioning Mu Hongyun, Mo Fan suddenly became serious and said, "Chief Instructor, Mo Fan, make friends, not model soldiers. No matter how many people he offends, he's still my friend. Do you think Mo Fan, don't know how good old Mu is to me?" Chapter 53 Commanding 4 Wolves to Exert Intimidation. After saying that, Mo Fan turned to leave. Suddenly, Zhan Kong reached out and placed his hand on Mo Fan's shoulder. Mo Fan resisted the urge to elbow him away and gritted his teeth, asking, "Is there anything else?" "Nothing much, just keep an eye on things when you're dueling with that kid Yurang." "Keep an eye on what?" "Just keep an eye on things, see if there's anything strange." "Okay, got it." Although Mo Fan didn't understand, he did as he was told. Mo Fan didn't linger with Zhan Kong, continuing to eat heartily. After finishing his meal, he didn't even need magic, he directly killed Yuang with a single, powerful blow. Not long after, Principal Zhu, Deng Kai, Yang Zuo, and other important figures in Bo City appeared one by one. These were all personally greeted by Mu Huan and Yuang. Principal Zhu represented the Magic Academy, a pillar of Bo City's education system. While he didn't have students all over the world, he had taught many high-level mages, and he himself was one of only 2 high-level mages in Bo City. The other high-level mage was Zhan Kong, representing the military. Deng Kai is the leader of the Hunters Alliance, and his status is quite extraordinary. Especially since there are no restrictions on hunters, whether mage or ordinary person, anyone is qualified to become a hunter. This means Deng Kai has considerable prestige in both classes. Yang Zuo is the representative of the Bo City Magic Association. After all, magic is the mainstream of this world, and the 5 Continents Magic Association is one of the world's 8 major organizations. Mu Huan needs no further introduction, he is the head of the Bo City family faction. Mo Fan was slightly surprised. He had met all these important figures before, so it seemed he was someone of importance. Aside from Zhan Kong and Principal Zhu, the rest were basically mid-level mages in Bo City. The number of mid-level mages in Bo City could be counted on 2 hands. Mu Huan really went all out this time, inviting so many people. It seems like everyone with influence in Bo City received an invitation, that's for sure. Mu Huan is so lucky. He had a daughter named Mu Ningsu, who awakened magic on her own at the age of 12 and caught the eye of the Mu family in the capital. The Mu family in the capital is a force to be reckoned with, even a single hair from their leg is thicker than our waists. You know, life is all about fate. If you're destined for high office, you don't need to look it up in a book, Hey, look, why are Mu Huan and Mu He still waiting at the door? Are there any other important figures who haven't arrived yet? Indeed, but everyone who's supposed to come has already arrived. Boom, boom, boom. Suddenly, everyone inside the Mu family manor felt a slight tremor, as if a colossal creature was ascending the mountain path. Sharp-eyed guests quickly spotted the scene outside. 4 demons, each 10 meters tall, appeared outside the Mu family manor. Their ferocious wolf faces had 3 emerald green eyes. These were 4 three-eyed demon wolves of the level of great generals. A strange talisman was pasted on the face of one of the demonic wolves. Even more astonishingly, the 4 demonic wolves were carrying a sedan chair made of black sandalwood. Mu Huan and Mu He exchanged a bitter smile. Only their master would do such a thing. Demons, where did these demons come from? Zhan Kong sensed the demonic aura in the banquet hall and strode out, only to be shocked by the sight of 4 warrior-level demonic wolves carrying a sedan chair. Using 4 warrior-level creatures as mounts, even in first-rate families, only core disciples could enjoy such treatment. The commotion caused by the 4 three-eyed demonic wolves attracted the attention of all the guests in the Mu family manor. These people, living in their ivory towers, had probably never even seen demonic servants before. Upon seeing these tall, cold-blooded, fierce, brutal, and tyrannical 3-eyed demonic wolves, their legs trembled, and they felt an urge to urinate. Mu Ningsu also saw the powerful 3-eyed demon wolf. Back in the capital, she had heard rumors that Elder Mu Filun was utterly useless, having thoroughly offended Mu Hongyun. She speculated that if Mu Hongyun stayed with the Mu family would become the world's #1 family. She couldn't help but feel a pang of jealousy. She herself had cultivated for so many years in the capital, only becoming a mid-level mage, while Mu Hongyun had rivaled a high-level mage in just a few months. The arrogant Mu Huan, who had been so haughty towards Mo Fan, now felt utterly humbled before Mu Hongyun. All the guests were currently focused on the sedan chair, eager to see who this important figure was. The dark brocade curtain was slowly lifted, revealing Mu Hongyun's unbelievably handsome face. Your Excellencies presence truly honors my humble abode. Mu Huan had learned his lesson this time. Playing the subservient role was something he excelled at, having done so in the capital as well. Mu Hongyun lifted the curtain and walked down step by step. There were no stairs. Mu Hongyun descended step by step, seemingly stepping on thin air. This scene immediately shattered the guests' minds. Just how powerful a mage must he be? Zhang Xiaohao, who was sitting with Zhou Min, Hiyu, Zhang Yinglu, Su Haoding, Wang Sanpang, and others, opened his mouth wide, then gave a thumbs up and slowly said, "Brother Mu is truly awesome, Brother Mu." Hearing Zhang Xiaohao's words, Zhou Min and the others immediately turned to look at him and asked, "Do you know that person?" Zhang Xiaohao then realized his slip of the tongue, but since he had already said it, he simply said, "Brother Mu and Brother Fan are neighbors, we often hang out together." Damn, Zhang Xiaohao, you're clinging to someone's coattails without even mentioning me? Are we even friends? Wang Sanpang was immediately filled with jealousy and envy upon hearing that Zhang Xiaohao knew such an impressive person. "It's just that I haven't been to school much this semester," Zhang Xiaohao said, scratching his head somewhat sheepishly. "Hey, look, Mo Fan's gone. Yo, where did this big brother come from? Quick, tone down your swagger and arrogant stride." Mo Fan stepped forward, covering his face, looking like he'd been hurt by Mu Hongyun's imposing manner. Tang Yu, standing to the side, was completely dumbfounded upon hearing this. Was this still her bad student who believed that shamelessness was invincible and that he wouldn't bow down for 5 pecks of rice? How could he be so obsequious now? Upon seeing Mo Fan, Mu Hongyun's previously indifferent face instantly filled with a smile. He shouted, "You little rascal," and the two quickly went to greet him, shaking hands vigorously. So many old friends. Yet only you share a single thought. Upon hearing this, Mu Hongyun thought, this kid's really getting into it, even quoting poetry. He immediately exclaimed, "A handshake amidst 10,000 people, and my sleeves retain their fragrance for 3 years." After saying this, the two looked at each other and burst into laughter. None of the remaining guests failed to grasp the situation. This was why Mu Huan was so respectful to Mo Fan, and they were now arm in arm with him. So, who is this gathering really targeting? After laughing, Mu Hongyun immediately put his arm around Mo Fan's shoulder and said to Mu Huan and the other important figures, "Gentlemen, let me introduce you. This is Mo Fan, my good friend, and also the spokesperson for our Yaoding group." Please give him a round of applause. Chapter 54 Yuang. Damn it, they're after me today. When Mu Hongyun introduced Mo Fan's identity, the emotions in the eyes of the important figures in Bo City varied. Principal Zhu and Denkai exchanged glances, their eyes revealing joy. Initially, they were worried that Mo Fan, a mere commoner, couldn't compete with the powerful families, but unexpectedly, this kid had quietly joined this so-called demon court group. Zhan Kong, on the other hand, was completely bewildered. Mo Fan had just told him he yearned for freedom, and now he was the spokesperson for this demon court group? Only Mu Huan's face quickly darkened. Dealing with Mo Fan was a completely different matter from dealing with Mu Hongyun. As for Mu he merely frowned. What he cared about was that if Yuang couldn't defeat Mo Fan, he wouldn't be able to obtain the earthly sacred spring. Yuang, however, remained expressionless. He knew all along that he couldn't win. Not only could he not win, but he also needed to cooperate with Mu Hongyun in putting on a show. Only in this way could he survive. Old Mu, why don't we go and say hello to Xiao Hao, Mo Fan said, pointing to a group of young figures in the distance. Okay, Mu Hongyun also had a very good impression of Xiao Hao. He was honest, clever, and, most importantly, courageous. During the days when Mo Fan was blacklisted by Bachan, no one dared to associate with him, except for Xiao Hao, who stood firmly by Mo Fan's side. Mu Hongyun even suspected that Xiao Hao had read Mo Fan's life script. Monkey, Mo Fan called out to Xiao Hao, who was sitting in the crowd. Brother Fan, Brother Mu, wow, Brother Mu, your appearance today was so cool. Xiao Hao saw the two and immediately stood up excitedly. Do you like them? If you like them, they're yours. Mu Hongyun's words were terrifying. He gave away 4 warrior-level creatures without hesitation. Those 4 warrior-level demons had their minds erased and had been forged into weapons by Mu Hongyun using puppet talismans. They were no longer living beings. No, Brother Mu, it's better if you sit there. I'm not quite there. Xiao Hao shook his head and said. Alright, let me know when you want to mount. By the way, why don't you come up there and sit up high? You can watch your brother Fan unleash his power there, and you'll get a better view. No thanks, Brother Mu, those are all big shots. I'd rather stay with my classmates, Xiao Hao said with a smile. Mo Fan laughed and said, Alright, old Mu, let Xiao Hao stay here. Where are we going fishing this afternoon? Get lost. Was there anywhere to fish? The places I found were all blown up by your thunder talismans. Go start your magical duel. Mu Hongyun kicked Mo Fan in the butt and then swaggered towards the main table. The main table was basically occupied by the bigwigs of Bo City. Seeing Mu Hongyun arrive, everyone smiled and greeted him. After seeing how Mu Hongyun interacted with Mo Fan, they felt that Mu Hongyun wasn't an unreasonable person. Of course, if Yang Zuo knew that Mu Hongyun was the one who stole a third of his family's treasure, he wouldn't think that way. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure. Soon, the banquet began, and as the initiator, Mu Huan naturally gave a speech, from Yuang's coming-of-age ceremony to the future of Bo City. The whole room immediately cheered, and Yang Zuo was the first to respond to Mu Huan, standing up and saying, what a wonderful call for the future of Bo City. Let's all raise our glasses. All the guests stood up and raised their glasses to drink, except for Mu Hongyun, who remained seated. At the same time, Mu Hongyun gave Yang Zuo a strange smile. If he knew that the instigators of a Bo City incident not long after were members of the Mu family, he wondered what his reaction would be. After the grand vision and inspiring ideals, the highlight of the banquet was about to begin, the magic duel. So many people came to the Mu family's banquet to see who would win the trial qualification for the earthly holy spring this year. Not to mention the whole world, just in Bo City alone, how many magicians could only linger in the early stages of the magic world their entire lives, with only a few of them able to step into the middle stages? The earthly sacred spring, a rare and precious material that could potentially propel a novice mage to the intermediate level, became a coveted relic. Unfortunately, its use was mostly monopolized by powerful families, rarely accessible to ordinary mages. The magical duel was finally about to begin, and Yuang, now dressed in a different outfit, made his appearance. Yuang wore a specially made suit, resembling both animal hide and high-grade silk, shimmering with a pale gold light under the lamps. Adorned with unique decorations, he looked like a prince from ancient Greece. In terms of style, he was a complete winner compared to Mo Fan, who wore baggy shorts, a large t-shirt, and flip-flops. Yuang's already delicate features were further enhanced by his luxurious attire, elevating his entire aura significantly. It was no surprise that he captivated some naive young women. Patriarch Mu, you've really gone all out. Can you count how many magical artifacts and tools he has? Deng Kai's eyes nearly popped out of their sockets when he saw Yuang. Principal Zhu shook his head repeatedly. The biggest difference between commoners and aristocratic families, besides magical resources, was magical tools. Just for this coming-of-age ceremony alone, Mu Huan had given Yuang countless magical tools. As a witness to the magical duel 3 years ago, Deng Kai naturally served as the referee. Although Mu Huan smiled, he wasn't entirely sure. No one knew what trump cards Mu Hongyun had given Mo Fan. Yuang and Mo Fan stood at opposite ends of the arena, looking at each other. After Deng Kai finished his opening remarks, he said, "Alright, let's shake hands and we can begin." Mo Fan and Yuang walked towards each other, both extending their hands. A chilling aura surged from Yuang's arm, a layer of ice forming on his palm. Mo Fan was the same, his domineering fire magic flowing into his arm, the scorching heat instantly suppressing Yuang's chill. "You're such a clueless little mouse. No problem, I'll freeze the water in your brain into ice shards, maybe that will make you more clear-headed." Yuang's eyes were filled with intense jealousy and resentment as he looked at Mo Fan. He was jealous that Mo Fan could be so close to Mu Hongyun, while he could only be a traitor to the Black Vatican and Mu Hongyun, unable to even control his own destiny. Mo Fan remained silent, merely tilting his head and slightly flexing his neck. Tang Yu watched Mo Fan's actions, thinking to herself that Mo Fan was getting increasingly good at showing off. The duel begins. Deng Kai officially announced the start of this long-awaited magical duel. Ice vines, freeze, upon initiating. Seeing that Mo Fan didn't move, Yuang seized the initiative. His powerful will swiftly controlled the star connection, and a vast expanse of snow-white ice descended, white frost enveloping Mo Fan's position from Yuang's direction. Within the ice vines area, it only took 3 seconds to freeze a person's lower body into an icicle. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 55 Zhang Xiao How, can you feel my domineering aura? Seeing Mo Fan standing there dumbfounded, everyone assumed he was frightened by Yuang's magic. Zhan Kong was somewhat suspicious. What was wrong with this kid? He wasn't afraid of the ghost wolf beast in the wild, so why was he afraid of ice magic now? Principal Zhu and Deng Kai looked uneasy, secretly sweating. Zhou Min said directly, "Is Mo Fan stupid? Why isn't he casting any magic?" Zhang Xiaohao said without surprise, "Brother Fan can create a star track with a single thought." Create a star track with a single thought. The students were all a little confused. Creating a star track with a single thought was a skill they only learned in the academy. Fire sizzle, burning. In an instant, Mo Fan connected the star track, and a ball of deep red flame appeared in his hand. Such a fast connection speed. This kid's got some skills, but why is he using a level 1 fire sizzle? Don't worry about it. Mo Fan is the top student in the magic high school. He must have his reasons for doing this. Tang Yu had already guessed Mo Fan's plan and said with a smile, "You little rascal, you're quite clever." Mo Fan smiled, flipped his hand, and the fireball in his hand suddenly fell to the ground. As the fireball fell, the deep red flames instantly became ferocious and menacing, extending forward to form a vibrant red carpet. Mo Fan stood on this carpet, like an emperor about to be crowned. A level 1 fireball breaking through a level 2 ice vine, some magic apprentices' eyes lit up instantly. Today hadn't been a wasted trip, they had indeed learned something. Principal Zhu slapped his thigh, unable to suppress a laugh. He had always thought Mo Fan was a promising kid. Within the flames, Mo Fan slowly opened his arms, calmly looking at Yuang. "Come and please me." Upon hearing Mo Fan's words, Yuang's handsome face immediately twisted with malice. "Don't be so smug." Fireball. A huge fireball suddenly appeared in Mo Fan's hand. Without a word, the fireball, trailing a long tail of flame, accurately hurled itself at Yuang. The fire was incredibly fast, surpassing the ice vines in both power and speed. No one could fathom how Yuang could counter it. Principal Zhu chuckled, taking a sip of tea. Yuang is in real trouble this time. Mu Huan's smile remained unchanged throughout, as if everything was under his control. Principal Zhu, the real show is yet to come. Just as the fire was about to strike, people suddenly noticed Yuang's figure blur, rapidly shifting several meters to the side. Many didn't even see it clearly, and those with slower reactions were completely bewildered. Mo Fan saw it clearly. Yuang's boots were magical artifacts, emitting a yellow glow. It was as if Yuang had suddenly gained a ground wave skill, his body shifting 4 or 5 meters out of thin air. Damn, it was a magical artifact imprinted with a ground wave. Ordinary magical artifacts, like Mo Fan's Scythebone Shield, trash, would cost 7 or 800,000 on the market, while magical artifacts imprinted with magic would certainly be worth over $1 million. Looking at it this way, Mu Hongyun's talisman magical artifacts selling for $1 million each weren't expensive at all. Did Yuang really think he could dodge it like that? Too naive? Explode, Mo Fan uttered 2 words softly. The fireball, gleaming with golden light, suddenly exploded, the blast radius covering 20 meters. Yuang was naturally within the blast radius. The scorching flame struck him unexpectedly. He didn't even have time to activate his shield magic tool before being blown away by the scalding blast wave. Holy crap, the words flashed through the minds of countless people. Su Daohuang, the captain of the city's demon hunting team, had the most complex feelings. He became the captain of the demon hunting team because of his exceptional skill in level 3 fire-breathing techniques. Now, this skill had been used by an 18-year-old boy, making him somewhat embarrassed. Level 3 fire-breathing. Qianlin hasn't had a student reach the initial level 3 before the magic college entrance exam in a long time. Maybe a trip to the earthly sacred spring will allow him to enter the intermediate level, Principal Zhu said with a beaming smile. Principal Zhu, the duel isn't over yet. How come Mo Fan got to use the earthly sacred spring? Yuang is also at the 3rd level of Ice Vine, Mu Huan said with a somber expression. That good-for-nothing Yuang used so many resources, while Mo Fan used so few. If everything had started fairly, Yuang wouldn't have been qualified to stand before Mo Fan at all. Mu Hongyun suddenly spoke up. Mu Huan and Mu He dared not retort. Did he have a death wish? But there is no true fairness in this world, and the fact is that Yuang is standing before Mo Fan. Mu Ningxiu immediately spoke up when she saw Mu Hongyun insulting her father like this. Mu Huan's eyes widened in shock, and he subconsciously tried to stop his daughter. Why was this child speaking such blunt truths? Was she out of her mind? That was before. In the future, my demon court group can give Mo Fan the same fairness. Mu Hongyun always spoke with an air of domineering arrogance when speaking to the Mu family. Inside the arena, the smoke and dust from the level 3 blast gradually dissipated. Yuang lay on the ground like a corpse. He hadn't actually lost his mobility, he was just stunned by the explosion. Sigh, what a pity. Yuang is so handsome, how could he lose? Are you all blind? Didn't you notice that Mo Fan, even without makeup, isn't much less handsome than Yuang? Mo Fan stood there, looking at Yuang lying on the ground, feeling nothing. He was currently thinking about where to go fishing that afternoon. If it were the old Mo Fan, he would have already laughed triumphantly, blowing up the big idiot Yuang. But now, Mo Fan felt no emotion. Yuang's defeat was only a matter of time. Looking at it this way, Mo Fan felt like he was the bad guy, and Yuang was like the protagonist of a shonen anime. Ho-ha-ho-ha, Yuang, who was sitting on the ground, suddenly stood up, letting out a maniacal laugh. Everyone around was stunned. How could he stand up so close to the epicenter of the level 3 blast? Was his body made of iron? Even if the one-eyed demon wolf suffered a level 3 fire attack, it might still be seriously injured. Could Yuang's body be any stronger than the one-eyed demon wolf? Mu Huan sneered. Although he didn't know what kind of help Mu Hongyun would give Mo Fan, he had prepared an ice attribute armor magic tool for Yuang, fundamentally countering fire magic. As long as Mo Fan hadn't broken through to the intermediate level, fire magic wouldn't be able to harm Yuang. Sorry, I forgot to tell everyone, as it's my son's 18th birthday, I specially prepared this ice silk armor for him, just in case some villains try to ambush him. Mu Huan stroked his beard, beaming as he spoke to everyone. Magic tools, armor magic tools, and some other unknown magic tools. What kind of magic duel was this? Even if you dressed a dog in these magic tools, it could fight a low-level mage to a standstill. Are you kidding me, Mu the old dog? What the hell is this duel about? If you can't handle it, don't play. Without these magical artifacts, what kind of dog is Yuang? It's like an old dog giving birth to a puppy. Before Zhou Min could finish speaking, Zhang Xiaohao had already started firing, and his attack was quite sharp. Chapter 56 Mo Fan, let everyone see your background. Holy crap! Everyone's eyes instantly locked onto Zhang Xiaohao. Zhao Gunsan, who had always been at odds with him, was completely dumbfounded. Why did you secretly go all out, buddy? Mu Huan's face instantly darkened. Now his nickname, Old Dog Mu, had spread far and wide. Everyone dared to point at him and call him Old Dog Mu. Throw that guy out, Mu Huan said, pointing at Zhang Xiaohao below with a dark face. Mu He was about to go when he heard Mu Hongyun's voice, chillingly, whoever goes will die. His words instantly sent shivers down Mu He's spine. Mu Hongyun smiled at Mu Huan and said, Zhang Xiaohao is the assistant to the spokesperson for the Yaoding group. You have no right to touch him. What, Mu Huan, do you have a lot of influence? Sir, you're joking. Of course, I have no influence in front of you. I was just joking with that young student, Mu Huan said, pulling out a handkerchief to wipe the sweat from his face. Principal Zhu, Yang Zuo, Zhan Kong, and the others looked as if they had seen a ghost. This was still the same Mu Huan who had been so domineering in Bo City. After all, background is a kind of strength, isn't it? Mu Huan said with a smile, as if explaining to the other guests. Honestly, you have every right to be proud to have pushed me to this point. If you have to blame someone, blame your bad luck in being born into a useless family, Yuang sneered. Mo Fan, give up. The Ice Silk Armor is a skill specifically designed to counter fire magic. Even if you cast level 3 Fireball again, it won't hurt him. Deng Kai couldn't help but speak up to advise him. Deng Kai is right. Next time I use Ice Vine, I will freeze you into dust. Now, go to my godfather and kowtow to admit your mistake. Consider it a special favor I'm giving you, Mo Fan smiled. Looking around, Mo Fan found that most of the people looking at him were filled with pity, as if he was destined to lose. Yuang's arrogant attitude from beginning to end made him very unhappy. Mu Huan's condescending attitude disgusted him even more. Being of humble origin is not a disgrace, being able to bend and stretch is what makes a true man. So today I'll stretch myself a little. Yuang coldly said, what are you laughing at? Mo Fan smiled brightly and said, if you die here today, do you think Mu Hongyun can save me? After he finished speaking, all eyes at the main table turned to Mu Hongyun. Mu Hongyun blinked and said, dog, if he dies, he dies. Does that mean Mo Fan can die here too? Mu Huan and Mu He dared not speak. Mu Ningsu, perhaps too angry because her father had been humiliated, spoke rashly. Mo Fan can't. Mu Hongyun made no attempt to hide his double standards. I am a double standard log, so what? Go ahead and kill me if you dare. Also, you're quite all show and no substance. Mu Hongyun's assessment was incisive. In the arena, Mo Fan also took out a stack of magical talismans, at least 50 in total. Since you used your magic tool first, I'll use mine too, Mo Fan said with an innocent smile. Heavenly Thunder Talisman. The talisman glowed, and a bolt of lightning, as thick as an adult's thigh, struck Yuang without warning, creating a large crater in front of him. Oops, I miscalculated the distance, sorry, Mo Fan spoke with utmost sincerity. Meanwhile, inside the Mu family manor, everyone was stunned. What was going on? Mo Fan had just unleashed a thunderbolt? At this moment, countless students about to take the Magic College entrance exam covered their heads in disbelief. What was happening? Why was it an illusion? Su's Haoding was particularly distraught. He was only at the initial second level of cultivation, not even reaching the third level, yet Mo Fan had unleashed a thunderbolt. It was like he hadn't even said a word to the girl he liked, and suddenly realized he was already at third base with Mo Fan. Mu Hongyun knew it was time for him to make his appearance. He stood up and amplified his voice with his divine sense to ensure everyone could hear. Everyone, please don't get excited. What Mo Fan just used wasn't a mid-level lightning spell, then what exactly happened? Tang Yu asked. Mu Hongyun gave her an admiring look. What a great comedian. What Mo Fan just used was our Demon Core Group's first series product, a magic tool. It's that stack of yellow papers Mo Fan is holding. Each piece of yellow paper records a spell. You can see the specific effects as Mo Fan demonstrates. After Mu Hongyun finished speaking, he sat down. Everyone roughly understood that the stack of yellow papers in Mo Fan's hand was a magic tool. At the same time, 3 words floated into the minds of the major figures. Magic tool? Is this a completely new magic tool? Why have they never heard of it before? What is the price? Windblade Talisman. Mo Fan activated another talisman, and the ethereal wind element obeyed his command, gathering together. The Windblade Talisman can unleash a powerful wind blade, or disperse into countless smaller wind blades. Mo Fan didn't use the giant wind blade, instead dispersing it into countless tiny wind blades, which flew towards Yuang like swarms of butterflies. The tiny wind blades tore through Yuang's robes in an instant, leaving thin streaks of blood on his body. Fire Spirit Talisman. A flame much larger than a fireball appeared in Mo Fan's hand. With a change in Mo Fan's mind, it transformed into a swimming fire dragon, swirling around Yuang and scorching him. Yuang, suffering from both physical and mental damage, could no longer withstand it. He activated the mental imprint in his mind. Instantly, more than a dozen black shadows appeared from nowhere, leaping into the arena. These shadows resembled demon monkeys, with deformed bodies, long, sharp forearms, and emerald green eyes. It's the Black Beast Demon. Quickly save Mo Fan. Zhan Kong immediately stood up. He instantly recognized these monsters as the Black Church's signature monsters. Tang Yu reacted even faster, her taut thighs exploding with powerful elasticity, instantly entering the arena. But before she could even move, a dazzling golden light flashed past. This golden light, it feels so familiar, Tang Yu thought to herself. The Golden Blade Talisman was the only one among the 5 elements talismans whose power could rival the Heavenly Thunder Talisman. The golden blade slashed at the Black Beast Demons like a fiery sword cutting through sticky black mud. The Black Beast Demon's wounds melted away. Before Tang Yu could even approach, Mo Fan had swiftly and decisively dealt with all the Black Beast Demons, then stomped on Yuang's chest. Zhan Kong unfurled 3 pairs of ethereal wind wings behind him, soaring into the air, his rough voice echoing throughout the entire Mu family manor. No one is allowed to leave the Mu family manor even a step. Mu Huan's face instantly turned ashen. And Mu He's face also darkened. Even Mu Ningxing's face turned pale. The presence of the Black Church within the family was a consequence known throughout the nation. They were the enemy of the world. In the room, only Mu Hongyun still wore a smile, because Yuang's exposure was exactly what he had instructed. Then, after investigation, it was discovered that most of the Mu family members in Bachan bore the mark of the Black Vatican, and the Bachan incident would soon occur. The timing of these 2 events was extremely close. Anyone would connect the dots. At that time, the Mu family of Bachan would become a sharp blade aimed at the Mu family in the capital, subject to universal condemnation. Chapter 57 I Have a Sword. Zhan Kong's execution was quite efficient. The soldiers at Zufang Mountain Post Station quickly sealed off the entire Mu family manor. Panic gripped the manor. Everyone was bewildered, wondering how a simple banquet had become entangled with the military. Tang Yu quietly notified her colleagues to check everyone in the manor for signs of the Black Vatican, while she herself remained hidden among the guests. Mu Hongyun sat leisurely in his seat. The military mages wearing white gloves were actually trainee inquisitors in disguise. They placed their hands on the heads of each guest, using a special technique to check for Black Vatican marks. Mu Huan was pale and anxious. Just one Black Vatican member, Yuang, was enough to overwhelm him. He couldn't even imagine the consequences if more appeared. Soon, a man in white gloves paled, his palms glowing with crimson stars. He said to the middle-aged man before him, "He bears the mark of the Black Vatican." The middle-aged man was at a loss, his mind blank. How could he be a member of the Black Vatican? He had no recollection of it. "I'm innocent, boss. I'm not a member of the Black Vatican." "You must have made a mistake." Before the middle-aged man could finish speaking, 3 military mages lit up their hands with dazzling star trails. "Please remain calm." The military mages tried to reassure the middle-aged man, but the wariness on their faces showed that they were also terrified. After all, the Black Vatican's infamy was known to everyone. Upon seeing the middle-aged man who had been restrained, Mu Huan's face instantly darkened, assuming that the man was also a member of the Mu family. Soon, everyone in the Mu family manor was searched, and 23 members of the Black Vatican were found, including Yuang. They were all from the Mu family of Bo City. Ironically, one of them was an 8-year-old child. 8 years old. Mu Hongyun covered his face with his hands. Yuang was such an idiot. How could he do such a thing to an 8-year-old? Zhan Kong looked at Mu Huan with a completely cold face and said, "I can't believe it, Patriarch Mu. The mighty Mu family has become the Black Vatican's base in Bo City. Somehow, Mu managed to evade the inspection and wasn't detected." Then, Zhan Kong took control of everyone in the Mu family. The others could leave. It didn't matter that the Black Vatican was still inside the Mu family, Zhan Kong needed to check again carefully. Yang Zuo and the Zhou family head were both stunned. Their intuition told them that the Mu family was finished, and Bo City was about to change. Mu Hongyun left the Mu family with a happy feeling. Mo Fan undoubtedly obtained the right to use the earthly sacred spring for a week this year. Mu Hongyun only knew that the earthly sacred spring was in the landmark Yinmao building in Bo City, but he didn't know its exact location. Mo Fan planned to use this week to advance to the middle stage of the fire element. The entire Mu family was taken to the military headquarters for interrogation, except for Mu Ningsu, who, along with Mu Zhuan, was rescued by the Mu family in the capital. And that matter was fast approaching. In the past few months, Mu Hongyun hadn't wasted his time, but instead studied the knowledge-based supernatural abilities within the earthly fiend techniques, Shifu, and Zhengshu. Shifu is based on the principles of the I Ching and the 8 trigrams, where names and things are based on symbols and numbers, and symbols and numbers are established for meaning. It is a method of divination. Zhengshu is an art of observing celestial phenomena at night to understand destiny. Combined with the Meng Tao supernatural ability, tomorrow, life will be lost in Bo City, rivers of blood will flow, and a calamity will occur. At the same time, there is a divine guidance in the dark. If he can change this calamity tomorrow, he will reap benefits. It's settled. It seems like a benefit given in advance by divine will. That very night, Mu Hongyun's key cultivation reached the peak of the spiritual key vortex, already solidified beyond any limit. The next step is to transform spiritual energy into spiritual liquid and enter the realm of the spiritual power well. At dawn, the primordial purple aura on the horizon was mixed with a wisp of pale yellow aura. Because pale yellow aura often precedes major disasters, it is considered a symbol of calamity. However, this is not the case. Pale yellow aura is actually a combination of life and death. From early morning, Bo City was shrouded in thick, dark clouds. The animals within Bo City remained silent all day, seemingly gripped by fear. Looking at the clouds, Mu Hongyun suddenly realized that torrential rain requires clouds to unleash its power. If he could first comprehend the pray for clear weather, divine power, he could directly dispel the dark clouds and fundamentally resolve the calamity befalling Bo City. Unfortunately, Mu Hongyun had not yet reached the level of omniscience and omnipotence, and learning the pray for clear weather, divine power required the essence of a true dragon. To put it bluntly, the celestial phenomena techniques and the earthly fiend arts are simplified versions of the heavenly gang divine power, calling for wind and rain. And how we could, calling for wind and rain, an indispensable divine power inherited by the dragon clan, once, calling for wind and rain, is mastered, one can comprehend the great Dao of nature and manipulate celestial phenomena and clouds. Before noon, a light, yellowish rain began to fall, looking somewhat strange. Mu Hongyun, holding a large black umbrella, arrived early at the Inscription Girls' Academy. He had asked Xingxia for leave and wanted to take her away from this dangerous place. Brother Mu, soon, Xingxia was pushed forward by Chu Zhuan, smiling as she called out to Mu Hongyun. Mu Hongyun smiled and nodded, then said to Chu Zhuan, "Thank you." Perhaps because Chu Zhuan was a useful pawn, Mu Hongyun used a sword talisman to transmit a message to her in her mind, saying that Bo City would soon be unsafe, and if there was nothing else, she should leave quickly. Don't be fooled by Chu Zhuan's high-level mage status. She was an academic, not a practical one. Buzz buzz buzz. Not long after Mu Hongyun pushed Xingxia away, the alarm in Bo City sounded. Unlike the usual preventative alarms, this one was a real alarm. Upon hearing this familiar yet unfamiliar alarm, everyone in Bo City first looked up in confusion, wondering what that sound was. Then his pupils dilated sharply. Wasn't this the alarm for a demon attack? Instantly, the entire city erupted into chaos. Rumble, 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 rumble. Suddenly, the earth trembled slightly, as if a group of enormous living creatures were running. Yes, that's right. Under the command of their leader and the charge of their generals, the demons of Nanling broke through the weak defenses of Zufang Mountain and stormed into Bo City. The demons were like a raging wildfire, burning the landscape painting that was Bo City. Help! Demons, run! Demons are coming, help! People who were just collecting their valuables heard the demons' commotion and dropped everything, taking off running. Brother Mu Xingxia saw that Mu Hongyun was calm. Although she believed in Mu Hongyun's strength, she was still a little scared, so she called out cautiously. "Don't worry, Xingxia, you'll be alright." Mu Hongyun's luck connected with Xingxia's. At the moment of connection, Mu Hongyun was immediately startled by Xingxia's luck. A vibrant red and purple aura floated above her head. The first to break through the inscription zone was a robust three-eyed demon wolf, with flowing fur and ferocious blue eyes, undoubtedly a top-tier warrior. Seeing Mu Hongyun and Yi Xingxia, a hint of joy appeared on its ferocious face, and it pounced on the two with incredible speed. Swoosh! It was the sound of a sharp weapon slicing through flesh. Xingxia nervously closed her eyes. When she opened them, she found the three-eyed demon wolf had been split in two, its red demonic blood splattered everywhere. "I have a sword that can subdue demons. I went out to play today, so the update is a little slow. The second update will be later." Chapter 58 Azure Dragon Seal. Demons, like a dark tide, swept through Bo City. Beneath the inscription district lay a tunnel leading to the outer reaches of Anji, through which countless demons entered Bo City. Therefore, the inscription district was essentially a demon-infested disaster zone. However, with Mu Hongyun present, everything was no problem. A sizable river flowed through the inscription district, called the Langling River. Mu Hongyun moved with effortless skill. The water elements in the air and the water of the Langling River seemed to obey the command of the water element king. The river's waters descended from the heavens, transforming into sword energy that would never return. Hundreds of tons of seawater were split into countless blades, imbued with Mu Hongyun's Tai and sword ki. It truly lived up to the saying, "The waters of 100 rivers flow ceaselessly." At Zhongguan Street in Bo City, blue ripples and a gray-brown beast tide surged into two opposing giant waves. Yi Xingxia opened her mouth in shock and exclaimed, "Brother Mu is so amazing, haha, this is nothing. Let's go find Mo Fan in Xianlin District first." Mu Hongyun was in high spirits. Xianlin District is the old district of Bachan. The Yinmiao building is located in Xianlin District, and the Earthly Holy Spring is located on the 15th floor underground of the Yinmiao building. Mo Fan, who had just broken through to the middle level of the fire element, noticed the sound outside and wondered if a week had already passed. But he clearly calculated that he still had a few days to consolidate his breakthrough in the fire element. Rumble. The door to the Earthly Holy Spring's secret chamber was a huge bluish-black boulder with magical runes engraved on it, and the sound just now was the sound of the door opening. The door opened, and what came into view was an Earthly Holy Spring guard wearing a milky white uniform, while the hall was covered with scarlet bloodstains. In the center of the hall stood a monster with a body comparable to a truck. Undoubtedly, all of this was its handiwork. The monster's head and neck were indistinguishable, but its shape was similar to the giant-eyed blood rat Mo Fan had previously slain. However, this giant rat was covered in dense, twisted blood patterns, like a curse from hell. "Commander Liang," the woman in the milky white uniform suddenly roared. The next second, Commander Liang, a mid-level mage, was thrown into the Earthly Holy Spring chamber like a tattered sack. Mo Fan's eyesight was excellent. He could see that although protected by magic, Commander Liang had multiple fractures throughout his body. While not fatal, he was incapacitated. Golden Knife Talisman, Heavenly Thunder Talisman, Fire, Explode. He ignited two talismans, and a golden light and a bolt of heavenly lightning struck the blood-patterned giant rat in succession, followed by a deep red fireball. With a bang, the fireball exploded, and a scorching heat wave instantly engulfed the entire chamber. The combination of lightning and fire created an overload effect. As the flames subsided, the once ferocious blood-veined giant rat lay lifeless on the ground. Lin Yuxin, her face covered in blood, and the heavily injured Liang Weicheng were both stunned, unable to believe that a student had killed a war general-level demon. What did you just use? The guardians of the Earthly Sacred Spring bore heavy responsibilities and were generally not allowed to leave the area. Therefore, the Earthly Sacred Spring guards hadn't attended the banquet at the Mu family manor and had no knowledge of the magical artifacts. Just a magical artifact. What happened outside? Although he had seen the demon, Mo Fan didn't suspect anything bad and calmly asked. Bloody alert, demons have attacked Bo City. Lin Yuxin hurriedly left these words, closed the door to the Earthly Sacred Spring's secret chamber, and quickly went to the altar. She pressed some mechanism, and the Earthly Sacred Spring, which had been circulating and emitting a pale yellow glow, flowed into certain small holes. Glug, glug. Soon, the Earthly Sacred Spring disappeared completely, not a single drop remaining in the channels. Lin Yuxin quickly walked to the top of the altar, the spot where Mo Fan had just been sitting. She lifted the futon, opened the partition, and took out a blue bottle containing the warm, glowing earthly sacred spring. Could this be the earthly sacred spring? A thought crossed Mo Fan's mind. How did so much earthly sacred spring get into that small bottle? Then, remembering Mu Hongyun's pot heaven technique, Mo Fan suddenly understood, it was the effect of special magic. Lin Yuxin carefully picked up the earthly sacred spring, her expression somewhat gloomy. For something like this, almost all the guards had died. But Lin Yuxin quickly rallied. She looked up at the honest-looking, calm students before her and said, "This is the emergency protection plan for the earthly sacred spring. There's a secret passage in the chamber that leads directly to the back mountain of Qinling Magic High School. You're not planning to give this to me, are you?" Mo Fan quickly guessed Lin Yuxin's intentions. "That's right, the Black Vatican will definitely think they're on me, so their target should be me. You hurry and leave through the tunnel. Don't let the earthly sacred spring fall into the Black Vatican's hands. If you have the chance, hand it over to Captain Zhan Kong." After opening the secret passage leading to the back mountain of Qinling Magic High School, Lin Yuxin gave Mo Fan a resolute military salute. For the sake of the earthly sacred spring, this young female soldier was prepared to use her own life to draw danger away from Mo Fan, a spirit that moved Mo Fan. "Don't worry, there are 15 magic talismans here, all offensive types. They only need a slight stimulation of magic energy to be used. I hope you're safe." Mo Fan counted out 15 talismans from his small bag and handed them to Lin Yuxin, then covered the earthly sacred spring and rushed into the secret passage. As he quickly walked through the secret passage alone, Mo Fan could feel the passage shaking from time to time, as if it were about to collapse at any moment. The chilling roars of beasts echoed in his ears, and the earthly sacred spring in his arms felt like a hot potato, its warmth attracting the scattered demons. "Give me the earthly sacred spring," the Azure Dragon's voice suddenly rang in Mo Fan's ears. The earthly sacred spring was one of the Azure Dragon's totem energies, and she had awakened the moment Mo Fan entered the secret chamber. "You? Azure Dragon, don't joke around at a time like this. If the demons find me, I'm dead," Mo Fan said. "Not giving it to me is the real death sentence." As the Azure Dragon finished speaking, the dark mudfish suddenly trembled, and the earthly sacred spring's energy broke through the blue bottle and flowed into the mudfish. The parched earth received the nourishment of rain, a perfect description for the mudfish. It turned a dark yellow from the inside out, no longer its original pure black. Meanwhile, a pure cyan energy from the little mudfish entered Mo Fan's magical universe, directly piercing into the dazzling purple nebula. It left a mark resembling a blue dragon in the center of the lightning nebula. This is the blue dragon totem seal. Activating it triples the base power of lightning magic. Please vote to support him, thank you. Mo Fan's personality changes are due to his association with Mu Hongyun. As the saying goes, one is influenced by one's company, however, his values and bottom line will not change. Mo Fan will never be a sycophant. Chapter 59. Mo Fan, am incredibly powerful. After walking for an unknown amount of time, some weeds appeared ahead. Mo Fan unleashed a level 1 fireball, burning the weeds away, and then the long-awaited sunlight reappeared. Emerging from the passage, he found himself on the backside of the mountain behind the school. Although he was aware of the blood-stained alert, standing on the mountain and seeing Bo City shrouded in wind and rain, he still trembled slightly. Torrential rain drenched Bo City, lightning flashed in the dark sky, and the entire city was filled with a suffocating atmosphere. The chilling roars echoing from all directions made him tremble slightly. Mo Fan looked towards the residential area, his pupils dilating instantly. Everywhere was a horrifying crimson. That blood couldn't possibly be the blood of poultry, it was the blood of living people, flowing with the torrential rain, forming streams that continuously flowed into low-lying areas and sewers. Everywhere was a striking crimson. Bo City, which just a few days ago was like a misty, rainy Jiangnan region, was now reduced to ruins. Bo City is a picturesque city with a distinctly southern Chinese ink wash painting style. Now, this ink wash painting has been smeared with blood and torn to shreds by thieves who broke in. Suddenly, a deafening roar echoed throughout Bo City, sending shivers down everyone's spines. Not just Mo Fan, but practically all the surviving mages turned to look at the top of the Silver Trade Building. The only thing in Bo City that could touch the gray clouds was the city's landmark, the Silver Trade Building. And crouching atop the Silver Trade Building was a gigantic black beast. Even from a distance, Humans could easily identify it as a city-destroying behemoth. Its tail, falling from the dome, reached almost half the length of the Silver Trade Building. A pair of broad, fleshy wings were completely hidden in the clouds. Only two dark shadows could be seen obscuring several office buildings within the hazy gray clouds. Its head was raised high, appearing and disappearing in the clouds. Lightning flashed, illuminating its ferocious and terrifying face, leaving a strong psychological shadow on some. Hongyun, who had slaughtered the entire inscription zone, also looked up at the giant beast. Meng Lan on his shoulder also recognized the winged wolf. Little one, quickly call Sister Qinghaya, come here, it's this bad guy who bullied me again. People are most vulnerable when they're taking a dumpling, and pandas are no exception. The winged wolf dared to scare Meng Lan while she was taking a dumpling, and Meng Lan immediately wrote it down in her little notebook. Hongyun rarely refused Meng Lan's requests, and this one was no exception. Hongyun patted Meng Lan's little head and said, after I settle Xingxia down, I'll go and twist that stinky monster's head off for you. Hongyun and Xingxia floated up, drifting towards Qinling Magic High School. Along the way, the demons were either smashed to death by water hammers or beheaded with a single sword strike. Inside Qinling Magic High School, many students were gathered due to graduation. Suddenly, a blood-red alert was activated. Qinling Magic High School, with its large number of mages, was like a magic stone mine, attracting attention. Many one-eyed demon wolves began to gather, calling their companions. There were also 4 enormous one-eyed demon wolves on the back mountain. Mo Fan instantly released Golden Blade Talisman, Thunder Talisman, and Wind Blade Talisman, killing 3 of them. Brilliant Golden Light, Violent Thunder, and Fierce Wind Blades appeared simultaneously. 3 wolves, 3 different ways to die. But one demon wolf pounced on Mo Fan like a whirlwind. Mo Fan was not panicked, instead, his eyes held a certain anticipation. Are you kidding me? You really think I'm a weak mage? I'm super powerful. Mo Fan cast a wooden armor talisman on himself, flames appeared in his hands, and he assumed a strange fist stance. Divine drumming stance. Mo Fan channeled the energy he had cultivated for months throughout his body, his fists carrying flames, unleashing a level 3 fire-like explosive force. Doubled, because he had 2 fists. The one-eyed wolf, struck so hard, nearly had its emerald eyes bulge out. Even in death, it didn't understand what had happened. Mo Fan raised his fist again, delivering a decisive blow that shattered the wolf's skull. A mage who doesn't know martial arts isn't a good priest. This punch not only killed a one-eyed wolf, but also shattered its worldview. A mage who doesn't use suicide spells but studies martial arts manuals, it's unheard of, utterly alarmist. Mo Fan quickened his pace, entering the teaching building. Even from outside, he could hear the chattering sounds coming from inside. He wasn't worried about attracting demons from outside. Soon, Mo Fan returned to his classroom. Upon seeing him, Zhang Xiaohao and Zhou Min immediately surrounded him. Brother Fan, you're back, Zhang Xiaohao exclaimed excitedly upon seeing Mo Fan. Monkey, are you alright? Mo Fan patted Zhang Xiaohao's shoulder and asked. I'm fine, Brother Fan, what brings you to the school? After something like this, do you think the earthly holy spring is safe? By the way, where are the teachers? The teachers are all in the headmaster's office, Zhang Xiaohao replied. Soon, Mo Fan entered the office. Why haven't we organized an evacuation yet? Mo Fan asked with a grim face. Although Mo Fan was just a student, his outstanding performance at the banquet had made the teachers regard him as an equal. After all, many of the teachers here hadn't even reached the 3rd level of the initial stage. Without a high-level mage to oversee things, there will be casualties during the evacuation, Chen Weilang said with a sigh as soon as he saw Mo Fan. Suddenly, Teacher Lan, who had been scouting outside, rushed in, panting heavily with a happy expression, and said, Headmaster, all the demons outside have been killed. Killed? Could it be that Principal Zhu has returned? Headmaster Chen Weilang asked, his eyes lighting up instantly. Principal Zhu was a high-level mage. If a high-level mage was overseeing things, the student's survival rate during the transfer to the safe barrier would be greatly increased. No, Teacher Zhou wiped the rain from her face and said, it's a boy, about the same age as our students. He and a girl in a wheelchair are floating in the air. Wheelchair, girl, floating. Mo Fan's eyes immediately lit up. He knew who it was. He slapped himself a few times. He'd forgotten Xinxia for something so important. He naively thought there would be an evacuation organized where Xinxia was. "Don't worry, it's my friend. He's the youngest person sitting at the main table that day," Mo Fan immediately told the teachers. Zhu Mushan asked hesitantly, "Mo Fan, is your friend as powerful as a high-level mage?" "Don't worry, Teacher Zhu, with my friend here, we'll definitely reach the barrier safely," Mo Fan replied firmly. Outside Qianling Magic High School, Mu Hongyun released his divine sense. The demons in the area around the Magic High School had been wiped out. It was a pity that several of the three-eyed demon wolves Mu Hongyun killed had dropped strange blood, but he hadn't had time to collect it. Soon, Mo Fan ran out of Qianling Magic High School. Old Mu, Xinxia, Mu Hongyun and the others landed on the ground. Mo Fan went up and gave Xinxia a big hug, apologizing. "I'm sorry, Xinxia, I didn't come to find you right away," Xinxia said gently. "It's okay, brother Mo Fan, are you alright?" "Don't worry," Mo Fan patted his chest. Then Mo Fan stood up, stared into Mu Hongyun's eyes, and suddenly said, "Thanks, so sentimental." Mu Hongyun laughed and scolded Mo Fan. After catching up, Mo Fan said seriously, "Old Mu, there are more than 1,500 students and teachers in the school. Can we take them all?" "No problem." Chapter 60. A wise man knows what to do and what not to do. As the disaster struck Bo City, many spies sent by powerful families hesitated, unsure whether to rescue the people or deal with Mu Hongyun. Guan Shanhei, an old man with a goatee, glanced disdainfully at the others and said, "I don't care what you think. The secrets Mu Hongyun possesses must belong to my Guan family. This disaster in Bo City is not my fault." Hearing Guan Shanhei's words, the others' faces showed conflicted expressions again. Choosing between right and wrong is always easy, the only difficult choice is between right and wrong. As retainers, they were obligated to serve their masters, using their resources. However, in the face of disaster, rescuing their compatriots was also their duty. "I'm sorry," said a middle-aged man from the Lin family, who stood up first. "Bo City is suffering, I cannot stand idly by. Farewell, gentlemen." With that, the Lin family retainer activated his demon walking device and resolutely headed towards Beeling Park, another heavily affected area overrun by demons, where many people were still trapped. "Elder Guan, I apologize." The guest elders from the Su and Song families clasped their hands in greeting to Guan Shanhei before leaving. "What are your thoughts?" Guan Shanhei's gaze turned to the Zhao family's retainer, Zhao Hai, who was also an internal member of the Zhao clan. "A gentleman loves wealth, but he acquires it in a proper way." "Elder Guan, I'm leaving." Zhao Hai was an elder with a square face. Suddenly, a pair of pure white wings unfolded from his back, and he soared into the sky. "Taibei Yunsheng, what about you?" Taibei Yunsheng was a retainer of the Nan family. In his early years, he was an extremely powerful rogue mage. Later, he married the young lady of the Nan family and rose to become a retainer of the Nan family. "I apologize, Elder Guan. A gentleman has things he will do and things he will not do." Taibei Yunsheng was also a middle-aged man with flowing long hair and a handsome face, like a hermit immortal living deep in the mountains. Soon, the guest elders from the various families dispersed. Most of these guest mages were commoners, and because of their humble origins, they still harbored a deep love for the lower classes. Faced with this situation, Guan Shanhei remained silent and coldly amused. Those who weren't family couldn't truly discern what was important. Sacrificing Bo City in exchange for Mu Hongyun, ensuring the Guan family's eternal peace, this was the only way to achieve maximum profit. Mu Hongyun, a narrow-minded and ungrateful wretch, didn't deserve this opportunity. It had to belong to the Guan family. In the eyes of these family mages, ordinary people weren't even human, their eyes were only for their families, and their families were everything. Qianling District. The street where Qianling Magic High School was located had become ruins. The buildings on both sides were shattered by demons, and blood and limbs were everywhere, human and demonic. The foul stench of blood permeated the air, and the violent roars of beasts occasionally pierced the ears of the crowd, causing widespread fear. A long, dragon-like procession slowly emerged from the school, with Mu Hongyun's 4 three-eyed demon wolf puppets standing on either side, protecting the flanks. The safety barrier set up by the Magic Association and the Hunters Alliance was 3 kilometers away from Qianling Magic High School. Without Mu Hongyun's assistance, this group of nearly 2,000 people would surely have been slaughtered by the demons. With Mu Hongyun's help, The 3-kilometer distance was covered safely, covering more than 2,000 meters before reaching the city moat, where a damaged bridge spanned the river. In the center of the bridge, a wolf demon, crawling on all fours, lay prone, clearly different from the one-eyed demon wolf. Mo Fan, walking at the front with Mu Hongyun, immediately recognized it as the ghost wolf beast he had killed during their wilderness training. The man riding on the ghost wolf beast's back was none other than Bai Yang, one of their training instructors. It's Instructor Bai. Is it Instructor Bai? Great. We actually ran into someone from the military here. Some girls who had trained with Bai Yang during their field training cheered instantly. Mo Fan, however, wasn't as excited as expected upon seeing Bai Yang. Mo Fan's eyes darkened, and he secretly became more vigilant. With so many people from the military, why did he have to run into Instructor Bai? Oh, it's you guys. Did you retreat immediately? Bai Yang asked, somewhat surprised to see so many students. He urged his ghost wolf beast towards them. Mu Hongyun and Mo Fan stepped forward and said, there are too many people at Qinling Magic High School, we couldn't evacuate immediately. Mo Fan, as soon as Mo Fan approached, Bai Yang recognized him. He couldn't help it, this kid had killed one of his ghost wolf beasts before the new year, leaving a particularly deep impression. Bai Yang said with a forced smile, we've all been looking for you. Looking for Mo Fan? The other students were confused by Bai Yang's words. Why were they looking for Mo Fan? Oh, you don't know the origin of this disaster, do you? The reason is that the Black Vatican wanted to use the earthly sacred spring to attract more demons and use them to completely destroy Bo City. Bai Yang's expression was very serious. So it was those bastards from the Black Vatican, Zhu Musheng said indignantly. The earthly sacred spring should still be in your hands, right? Bai Yang said. Mo Fan didn't answer, but looked at Bai Yang with complicated eyes. Bai Yang's expression was somewhat excited at this moment, and the other students didn't expect that Mo Fan would have such an important thing on him. That's right, the earthly sacred spring is indeed on me. After a moment, Mo Fan seemed a little disappointed and said lightly, however, I can't give it to you. Instructor Bai Yang, why did you join the Black Vatican for no reason? Mo Fan almost gritted his teeth when he said the last 3 words, and a deep red light appeared in his palm. Fire, explode. A fierce fire exploded between the two of them instantly, and the man-eating flames roared towards Bai Yang and the ghost wolf beast he was riding. Mo Fan, with his powerful physique, fire resistance, and the protection of the wooden armor talisman, suffered little damage. Bai Yang and his demon wolf beast, however, fared much worse. A level 3 fire blast at close range severely injured both of them. Attack, Bai Yang roared. This sudden turn of events stunned everyone, who couldn't understand why Mo Fan was attacking Bai Yang. Everyone be careful, Bai Yang is from the Black Church, there should be his hidden black beasts around. Mu Hongyun's voice rang out. As soon as he finished speaking, the black beasts hidden beneath the bridge crawled up. But before they could even move, Mu Hongyun manipulated gravity, tossing them thousands of meters into the air. A few seconds later, these black beasts crashed to the ground, smashing into a pile of mud. Everything happened in the blink of an eye. Before the teachers and students could even react, the black beasts were instantly killed. Mo Fan smashed the demon wolf beast's head with a punch, then dragged Bai Yang like a dead dog towards the safety barrier. Putting everything else aside, Mo Fan's act of smashing the skull of the ghost wolf beast with a single punch was enough to shock everyone. Wolf demons were known for their bronze heads, iron bones, and tofu waists. Even if the ghost wolf beast was severely injured, it should have had its skull shattered by a human's punch. After crossing the bridge, the safety barrier, like a city wall, was right in front of them. This time, they could clearly see mages wearing the Magic Association's insignia guarding outside the barrier. When the large group of over 2,000 people appeared outside the barrier, the guardian mages' eyes were filled with shock. They hadn't expected that such a large group could cross the city and reach the barrier at this time. Once outside the barrier, Mu Hongyun took Meng Lan off his shoulder and placed her in Xingqia's arms, saying to Mo Fan, alright, you guys go in. I won't go in, I still have things to do. What? Mo Fan, Xingqia, and Zhang Xiaohao were all somewhat surprised. They had almost reached the barrier, and Mu Hongyun suddenly wasn't going in. Yes, Xingqia, you hold Meng Lan for me. I'll go twist that big guy's head off. Mu Hongyun waved his hand, pointing to the huge black shadow atop the Yinmao building. I'll save up some chapters later and finish writing the second volume of the old book. After that, this book can be updated at a rapid pace. Chapter 61. Observe the situation and wait for the right opportunity. Mu Hongyun's figure slowly rose, then swiftly flew towards the winged wolf. Bo City below became a world of yellow and red, filled with the roars of demons, the vibrations of sacred magic, and cries for help from the people. Mu Hongyun unleashed his sword energy along the way, slaying lone demons, but his ultimate target was the commander-level demon, the winged wolf, atop the silver trade building. From its rank, one could tell that the winged wolf was a beast king ruling over a mountain range, commanding tens of thousands of wolf demons in the southern mountains, while the hundreds or thousands of wolf demons that invaded Bo City were only a tenth of its forces. Perched atop the silver trade building, overlooking the entire city, it naturally sensed a small insect flying towards it. Yes, that's right, the winged wolf judged a human's strength based on their magical aura. Mu Hongyun possessed no magical aura whatsoever, so it was naturally the small insect. However, this small insect was made of diamond. Surging waves palm, Mu Hongyun waved his palm from afar, and countless water elements rushed in, forming a giant hand tens of meters long, which slammed down towards the top of the Yinmao building. The winged wolf's eyes widened suddenly. If it could speak human language, it would definitely say holy crap. It couldn't help it, it clearly hadn't sensed any magical aura from Mu Hongyun, so when did this water hand, comparable to a high-level spell, appear? The water hand appeared too quickly, the winged wolf didn't even have the chance to react before being struck. Boom, a loud explosion resounded from the top of the Yinmao building, echoing throughout the entire Bo City. Countless people instantly looked up, only to see a huge cloud of dust erupting from the top of the Yinmao building, and the beastly figure crawling on it had vanished. A powerful figure had attacked the winged wolf. Was it the military? The imperial retainers who were slaughtering demons throughout Bo City all looked up. They weren't stupid, they hadn't gone to provoke the winged wolf, but rather were killing servants and general-level demons. The only people they could think of who would attack the winged wolf were the military. However, Zhan was still in the watchtower within the security barrier. In the gloomy rain, Zhan stood solemnly on the rooftop, behind him a squad of resolute-eyed, fully feathered Sky Eagle soldiers. Finally, Zhan spoke slowly, raindrops hitting his face, but unable to extinguish the burning battle fire in his eyes. "All, follow me to slay the winged wolf." His words were powerful and resolute, his posture unwavering. Yes, his voice received a unified and powerful response. 3 pairs of ethereal, light wind wings unfurled behind Zhan, and he flew towards the winged wolf. The Sky Eagle soldiers climbed onto the backs of the Sky Eagles, their white feathers like spirits in the sky, following behind Zhan like white rainbows. The Sky Eagle soldiers were a major elite unit within the Yanhu Air Force system. Only the most elite mid-level mages were qualified to become Sky Eagle soldiers. Beneath the makeshift watchtower, Mo Fan looked up towards the Yinmao building, where a great commotion had just erupted. He knew who was behind it. It was him, and only him. Zhang Xiaohao also looked up, but his gaze was fixed on the figures riding on eagles, each one captivating him. "Brother Fan, I want to join the army," Zhang Yu suddenly said resolutely. Hearing Zhang Xiaohao's words, Mo Fan turned to look at him, finding no trace of jest on Zhang Xiaohao's face. "Brother Fan, I want to join the army. I want to become very strong enough to single-handedly defend the entire Bo City, stronger than the chief instructor," Zhang Xiaohao said, his eyes suddenly reddening. He wasn't a transmigrator like Mo Fan, but a native of Bo City. Now that Bo City was destroyed, he wanted to protect it more than anyone else. "Then, let's become stronger together," Mo Fan patted Zhang Xiaohao's shoulder, speaking firmly. Despite a successful strike, Mu Hongyun remained vigilant, knowing that his attack would at most inflict minor injuries on the winged wolf. Sure enough, before the dust had even settled, the winged wolf eagerly prepared to counterattack. A bluish-yellow wind pearl appeared in its gaping maw, like the gaping maw of an abyss. Wind wound, the wolf demon's most proficient technique. A fierce, cunning gale churned the air for miles around, tearing towards Mu Hongyun's location. Mu Hongyun raised 2 fingers, and dozens of rocks rose from the ground. He gracefully retreated, while the rising boulders lined up to block his path. Buzzing sounds filled the air as Wind Wound unleashed countless wind blades that slammed into the boulders. As Wind Wound tore through the rocks simultaneously wore down Wind Wound. As the last boulder shattered, the destructive power of Wind Wound had diminished to less than that of a mid-level wind magic, and was dispersed by Mu Hongyun's powerful physique with a single palm strike. Unlike Mo Fan, a crude and unranked martial artist, Mu Hongyun, relying on the stance training of the stubborn fist, still entered the third realm of martial arts, the Mercury realm. Although his martial arts had reached the rank, to forge a path in the magical world, he needed at least the seventh realm, the Golden Body realm. Relying solely on the unremarkable martial arts manual, mountain shaking manual, who knew when that would be? Flowing fire, Mu Hongyun waved his long sleeve, and a white gold sword aura shot out. Using Zhengjin sword aura with fire attribute sword techniques, true fire refining gold, the power reached another level. A massive sword aura appeared and suddenly swung out. Although the winged wolf didn't know what it was, it could feel a huge threat from the sword aura and immediately flapped its wings to dodge. Unfortunately, its speed was fast, but could it be faster than a sword cultivator? Sword energy swept across the battlefield, and the scorching flames instantly severed a wing from the winged wolf. Mu Hongyun swept the wing away with a wave of his hand. Just as Mu Hongyun was in high spirits, he suddenly felt a lingering fear, as if an attack would come at any moment. This was the premonition of the Meng Tao divine ability, Earth Spirit Talisman, Wood Armor Talisman. The Earth Spirit Talisman is different from the Earth Shield Talisman. The Earth Spirit Talisman belongs to one of the 5-element Spirit Talismans. After using a 5-element Spirit Talisman, one directly obtains a ball of pure 5 elements power, which can be freely constructed into any shape. Mu Hongyun directly used the Earth Spirit Talisman to transform into a defensive spirit shield around himself, and then pressed the wooden armor against his body. His figure quickly fled. Sure enough, the next second after Mu Hongyun fled, danger descended. Ice Sealing Spirit Pivot, Sealing Pivot. As soon as Mu Hongyun left, a huge ice coffin suddenly appeared where he was, emitting a huge chill. In the rain, this chill seemed to be able to freeze the torrential rain. Mu Hongyun turned his head and was shocked. This frozen spirit pivot was a high-level ice-type magic. Could it be that the Mu family of the capital had sent someone to ambush him? Mu Hongyun was filled with doubt. There was more tonight. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 62. A super rank old man who never dies is a thief. An old man bearing a striking resemblance to Dumbledore suddenly appeared on the ground, and it was he who had just caused Mu Hongyun's crisis. You're arrogant after drinking a little horse piss. Fighting me is a matter of life and death. Mu Hongyun's eyes flashed like lightning, his hand forming a claw, powerful gravity transforming into black lightning, pulling along the half-collapsed house and slamming it towards the white-bearded old man. Whoosh! A pair of jet-black magical wings unfolded behind the old man, propelling him into the air, dodging the crushing boulders. Mu Hongyun narrowed his eyes, guessing that this old man was most likely a high-level mage. Judging from the previous attack, he lacked wind and space magic. If he did, he hadn't reached the high level. Ice magic was definitely high level, possibly even high level. Moreover, a high-level mage would certainly possess a full set of magical artifacts and transcendental power. Mu Hongyun was somewhat troubled. This was a difficult situation. Ranged attacks weren't his forte. To deal with him, he had to get close, while also guarding against the old man's demon-slaying artifacts. A commander-level demon was also watching intently from the sky. Mu Hongyun, once again anticipating the attack, vanished, leaving his original spot. The next moment, the winged wolf's soul-severing iron claws struck fiercely, severing a relatively intact office building in half. Rumble. The building crumbled and crashed to the ground, raising a cloud of dust. Using this dust as cover, Mu Hongyun used his invisibility ability to disappear, vanishing into nothingness. Where did he go? Guan Shanhei saw it clearly. Mu Hongyun vanished the instant the dust rose. Because Mu Hongyun possessed no magical energy, the winged wolf hadn't detected him, naturally turning its attention to Guan Shanhei, who was radiating immense magical energy. Enraged by the loss of its wings, the winged wolf unleashed a wild aura that enveloped 2 districts, its ferocious fangs sweeping towards Guan Shanhei. You beast, how dare you? Guan Shanhei's beard twitched, and he reached out to connect with the stars. A vast blue-white constellation appeared above the winged wolf's head. Before the ice coffin even materialized, the chilling aura had already swept over it. Wildly dancing ice spirits defied the world, and the heavy frost spirit would bury all creatures that scorned frost and snow. Frozen spirit, suppressing spirit, the icy, ruthless, and holy heavy frost spirit, carrying boundless power, bloomed on the winged wolf's head. The winged wolf felt as if a huge iron ball was hanging around its neck, pressed down so hard that it couldn't lift its head. No matter how hard it struggled with its limbs and claws, it was useless. Rock Demon's Eye, Earth Dragon Thorn, a heroic voice suddenly rang out in the sky. It turned out that Zhan Kong and the Sky Eagle squad had arrived. The blue-white constellation had just dissipated when a yellowish-brown constellation reappeared. Unlike the outward projection of the frozen spirit, the Rock Demon's Eye appeared directly within the constellation. In the vast cosmos, a pair of cold, golden beastly eyes suddenly appeared, indifferently observing everything below. The broad, heavy earth suddenly trembled violently, and under the control of its owner, one after another, rugged and imposing rock spikes erupted from the ground. Their activity roughly encompassed the area around the winged wolf's body. The hard, ferocious rock spikes extended irregularly, not only restraining the winged wolf's body, but some smaller spikes also pierced its flesh. Roar, trapped and injured, the winged wolf roared in pain, its sound waves sending nearby rocks flying. A good opportunity. Taking advantage of the turmoil caused by the winged wolf, Hongyun realized this was his chance. He hurriedly used his Void Sword key and his rock-leaping divine ability to silently appear behind Guan Shanhei, Five-Finger Fist Heart Sword. A punch imbued with Hongyun's power erupted instantly, the killing intent hidden beneath the fist being the excessive Void Sword key. Crack! Hongyun's punch landed squarely on Guan Shanhei's back. The moment it struck, Hongyun felt something was wrong. Damn it, when did Guan Shanhei use the demon armor? Hongyun felt a surge of power throughout his body, not to mention the 5 hidden Void Sword key. Little brat, I've been waiting for you. Guan Shanhei instantly activated his demon-slaying tool, Aurora Blade. Hongyun was instantly slashed away, thinking to himself, damn it, Peace Talisman, Blood Key Pill. Hongyun quickly swallowed a pill, then took out a talisman to seal the wound. Guan Shanhei's demon-slaying tool was extremely powerful, even with Hongyun's current dragon marrow and tiger bone physique. A wound had been inflicted, and blood containing a trace of golden light spilled out. The Peace Talisman was a healing talisman. The great master Zhang Jiao had used a peace talisman to quell the Yellow Turban Rebellion. The blood key pill is easy to explain. It replenishes blood and key deficiency, and can be made from the corpses of demons and monsters, with a higher success rate than the spirit key pill. The peace talisman successfully stopped the wound, and the blood and key replenished some of the lost blood and key. As expected, the old fox is still the most cunning, Hongyun said calmly, once again using his invisibility ability to disappear from his body. Guan Shanhei was also badly injured by the 5 Fingers Fist Heart Sword. Most of the fist force and the 5 sword energies were absorbed by his armor, but some hidden force still penetrated his body. Moreover, his armor was successfully destroyed and could no longer defend against a second attack. Little brat, your methods are indeed strange. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Several boulders as tall as adults flew up and smashed towards Guan Shanhei, who was clutching his chest. Shadow escape, flying shadow. A dark energy appeared around Guan Shanhei's body, and he instantly turned into a shadow and disappeared from the spot. Shadow element, so the second element is shadow element. Hongyun nodded to himself, releasing his divine sense to search for Guan Shanhei's figure. Soon, he found Guan Shanhei's figure behind the ruins 500 meters away. Earth-Fire Talisman. Earth-Fire is magma. Of course, a yellow-level Earth-Fire Talisman only has a temperature of 700 degrees Celsius, while a blue-level Earth-Fire Talisman has a temperature of 1400 degrees Celsius. Guan Shanhei was injured by the hidden force, and a surge of energy was circulating in his heart and lungs, making him very uncomfortable. He avoided Hongyun in order to take some medicine to see if he could dispel the hidden force in his body. Unfortunately, before he could even open the medicine bottle, blue flames suddenly emerged from under his buttocks. These flames were different from ordinary flames. Their extreme heat directly burned through his clothes. Water defense, circulation. Guan Shanhei conjured a path in an instant, and a flash of blue starlight appeared. 3 layers of water defense protected his body, forming a circulation. Even through the water barrier, the flames still burned him. It took 2 level 3 water barriers to extinguish the strange earth fire. The third element is water. This just happened to be right in my line of fire. Mu Hongyun chuckled inwardly. Damn brat, I'll teach you a lesson you won't forget. Truly, an old man who doesn't die is a thief. Both men harbored their own ulterior motives, but given the current situation, Guan Shanhe was in the open, while Mu Hongyun was in the shadows. The outcome was uncertain. Chapter 63 The Sword of Destiny. In the ruins of the city, the winged wolf, like a trapped beast, was suddenly enveloped by a sandstorm. The winged wolf had mastered the wind and earth elemental demonic technique, sand demonic body. The coarse sand, carried by the sharp gale, ground down the earth dragon spikes that restrained it, causing them to snap. With the protection of the sand demonic body, magic below the high level was rendered useless. Whoosh! 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 Several meteor-like stones flew up, raining down on the winged wolf, which was being swept up by the sandstorm. It was Mu Hongyun who had intervened. While fighting Guan Shanhe, he had also been observing the winged wolf. Unfortunately, the sandstorm protection surrounding the winged wolf was incredibly strong, even hard rock couldn't penetrate its defenses. The winged wolf's vitality was remarkable. The wound inflicted by the earth dragon spikes had already begun to stop bleeding and heal. Roar! The wild and domineering roar of the winged wolf echoed throughout Bo City. Whether in any area, inside or outside the city, at the post station or in the southern ridge, all the wolf demons who heard the roar turned towards the winged wolf. It was the command of the king. The winged wolf was summoning all the demon wolves under its command. Originally, it only intended to destroy Bo City, but these magical insects had actually injured it. It wanted to massacre all the human territories surrounding the southern ridge. At the same time, Zhan, floating in midair, saw billowing dust rising from all directions, dust raised by the charging demon wolves. A great torrent of demon wolves was converging on the winged wolf. The winged wolf stood up, like a lion preparing for battle, its eyes looking down upon the humans as insignificant as ants. Countless demon wolves rushed in from all directions. Zhan frowned. He had miscalculated. He hadn't expected the winged wolf to summon all its subordinates. Mu Hongyun, who was concealing his presence, and Guan Shanhe, who was on guard against Mu Hongyun, both noticed this scene. Using so many demons would certainly not benefit him. Therefore, Guan Shanhe shouted, let's pause for a moment. I'll use magic to clear out the demons, and then we can continue. Okay, I think that's fine, Mu Hongyun replied, though his voice was erratic and impossible to pinpoint. Then it's settled. No one is allowed to ambush. 100 flowers bloom, wood punishment piercing. Without further ado, Guan Shanhe chanted softly, and emerald green stars began to slowly appear in the sky, one or two at a time, weaving a veil of green that hung above. This color wasn't as chaotic and viscous as poison, but it had a heavier feel than the sign of wind. Finally, the stars connected to star trails. The star trails formed a star map. The star map transformed into constellations, and then 7 constellations formed a star palace shaped like a white lotus. Suddenly, the earth trembled, as if earth dragons were burrowing beneath. Soon, giant, python-like vines emerged from the ground, the immense commotion seeming as if it would overturn Bo City. Zhan stared at the plant-based star palace that appeared above his head, his eyes lighting up with surprise. Where did this super-level mage come from? Could it be that his family sent him to protect him, only to encounter this calamity in Bo City and thus had no choice but to intervene? Zhan mind began to wonder again. The refugees within the safety barrier also saw the emerald green star palace that seemed to cover almost the entire city of Bo. My god, what is that? Wang Sanpang, who was resting on the ground, exclaimed in shock. That's a star palace, a phenomenon that only appears when a super-level mage casts a spell. The soldier standing guard at the entrance of the military base excitedly explained to Wang Sanpang. A star palace? Upon hearing the name Star Palace, the students of Qinling Magic High School instantly widened their eyes, scanning the area carefully, not missing a single detail. His mind was already conjuring up images of himself as a high-level mage, casting spells with dazzling coolness. Qinling District Square Street. The giant python vines were merely an appetizer. 10 thick vines first crashed into the pack of demonic wolves, whose once invincible claws seemed to have lost their sharpness. Horrifying wooden spikes sprouted from the vines, instantly drying out the wolves pierced by them, as if the spikes were sucking the blood of the demons. PFFT. 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 Countless wooden spikes instantly extended, piercing the bodies of dozens of demons, causing them to wither instantly. Then, the giant python vines grew even stronger, even wrapping around the winged wolf's thighs. The demonic blood absorbed by the spikes actually nourished the vines, causing them to branch out into even more vines. Soon, the entire pack of demonic wolves became nourishment for these bloodthirsty vines. As expected, Mu Hongyun didn't ambush Guan Shenhe while he was casting his super-level magic, but rather the instant he finished. Golden thread robe, aurora blade, Mu Hongyun's powerful sword energy collided instantly with Guan Shenhe's demonic weapon. Seeing his ambush fail, Mu Hongyun immediately withdrew. Old man, little brat, both cursed under their breath, neither was any good. Mu Hongyun thought to himself, heroes are indeed as numerous as carp crossing a river. Guan Shenhe is considered relatively weak among super-level mages, yet he fought Mu Hongyun to a standstill. It felt as if they were taught by the same master, unable to break each other's moves. This wasn't just due to physical strength, but also factors like mindset, strategy, patience, and timing. The old man's demon-slaying tools are indeed not disposable, but it's certain his armor is ruined. However, he still has his shield hidden in his hand, Mu Hongyun thought to himself. Although the wooden piercing attack in the distance had once again restrained Yi Kanglang's body, it lacked the ability to kill him. Suddenly, a bright red light shone in Yi Kanglang's eyes. It would be a grave mistake to think that Yi Kanglang had only mastered an elemental demonic technique, Revenge Blood Curse. Yi Kanglang activated this demonic technique by drawing upon the power of his bloodline. This technique would randomly attack those who had previously harmed Yi Kanglang. Now it all came down to who had better luck. Mu Hongyun was never afraid of luck. Having connected with Mo Fan and Yi Xingsha, two masters of great fortune, he had never lost in a contest of luck. To a certain extent, the fortune of the chosen one represented the will of heaven. So, Guan Shenhe, who was going against the will of heaven, was naturally going to suffer. Without any apparent reason, a black curse suddenly descended upon Guan Shenhe's heart and lungs, and began to spread throughout his body. PFFT, the wary Guan Shenhe suddenly spat out a mouthful of black blood. A good opportunity, although Mu Hongyun didn't know why Guan Shenhe vomited blood, his weakened aura was undeniable. His figure suddenly drew near, heaven-splitting palm. This was a divine power comprehended by the Jade Pure Primordial Heavenly Venerable during the creation of heaven and earth, possessing the power to split the heavens and earth and stabilize the elements of wind, water, and fire. Even before Mu Hongyun appeared, Guan Shenhe sensed the approaching death. Wasp Shield. Guan Shenhe immediately released his shield artifact, a golden shield forged from gold whoosh. The heaven-splitting palm clashed with a wasp shield. Before the shield could even retaliate with its stinger, it was shattered into pieces. Ha ha ha, let's see what you use to protect yourself this time, Mu Hongyun laughed, revealing his other hand. That hand's killing move was none other than the Sword of Destiny. Chapter 64 The Unexpected Surprise of the Veiled Wolf. In this world, there are always beings with special destinies, such as the Three Wonders Nobleman, the Taiji Nobleman, the Chosen One, and the Greedy Wolf descended to Earth, among others. Leaving aside others, just consider the destiny of a monarch. Killing someone with such a destiny without cause would incur the wrath of the entire nation and the curses of its people. To use his sword more freely, the Supreme Pure Spiritual Treasure Celestial Venerable studied this supernatural power, which not only allows him to kill those with special destinies without cause, but also to absorb their destiny to enhance himself. After beheading Guan Shenhe with a single sword strike, Mu Hongyun finally breathed a sigh of relief. This was the most troublesome opponent he had encountered since beginning his cultivation, many times more difficult to kill than demons. Having dealt with Guan Shenhe, Mu Hongyun stepped over the corpse and then turned his gaze to the still howling winged azure wolf. 10 stars, Mu Hongyun expanded his divine sense, using lunar magic. 10 enormous boulders rose, and black lightning extended from his wrists. The 10 boulders, accompanied by lightning, merged into one and crashed down on the winged wolf, which was entangled by giant python vines. The whooshing sound of the flying boulders immediately attracted the winged wolf's attention, but it was trapped by the python vines and had no chance to dodge. Boom! This attack was extremely powerful, as the 10 boulders combined were much larger than the winged wolf's body. The winged wolf was like a scorpion demon and snake demon being suppressed by 7 gourd brothers, directly crushed to the ground by the boulders. This time, Mu Hongyun did not conceal his figure but openly revealed himself. Captain Zhan Kong, you step back. Leave these beasts to me, A clear and loud voice appeared in Zhang Kong's ears. Flowing fire, myriad manifestations. Mu Hongyun spat out a few sparks, channeling his solar sword energy to unleash an extension of the flowing fire sword technique. Vast and intense solar true fire clung to the sword energy. Mu Hongyun twisted his waist, sweeping across the battlefield, his sword energy radiating in all directions, its power reaching the heavens. Golden sword energy swept through the bodies of thousands of demonic wolves, golden solar true fire instantly erupting from within, burning the wolves to purple ash in an instant. Simultaneously, Guan Shanhei's wooden punishment piercing technique was largely destroyed by Mu Hongyun. Tiger strike. Mu Hongyun reached out, countless water elements condensing to form a 3-meter-long tiger-headed spear. Mu Hongyun shattered the ground with a single step, his figure advancing like lightning, the sharp spearhead smoothly piercing the winged wolf's jaw. Hey! Mu Hongyun roared, his entire body rising with intense steam from the violent movement. A magnificent tiger composed of water elements pounced from beneath the winged wolf's head, its fierce wind sending the wolf flying into the air. Zhan Kong was shocked. It was transcendental power. Could this kid be a super-rank mage? Impossible. How could there be such a young super-rank mage? No wonder Zhan Kong mistook Mu Hongyun's drinking water technique for water-based transcendental power. After all, it came from the Bixi's water control power. If it weren't for the limitations of spiritual power, Mu Hongyun could have unleashed towering waves that would flood North America. Of course, Mu Hongyun wouldn't end a winged wolf's life so easily. Having finally found such a punching bag, he naturally wanted to give it his all. Steaming swamp style, Mu Hongyun adopted a strange fist stance, surging energy coursing through his body like a fire dragon mobilizing all its power. As the winged wolf fell, Mu Hongyun resolutely threw a punch towards the sky, like an old farmer harvesting wheat in a field suddenly standing up and straightening his tired back. Everything was so natural and seamless. The stubborn fist's intent was, as long as I don't submit, I am invincible. Let's end this. Mu Hongyun stomped his foot on the ground, rising like an eagle, his pupils gleaming with a terrifying light. 5 sacred mountains great handprint, condensing the essence of the 5 sacred mountains, forming a powerful handprint of suppression. Mu Hongyun held the handprint and smashed it down hard on the winged wolf's head. Thump. The earth trembled again, this time with a dull thud rather than a loud sound. The winged wolf lay on the ground like a dead dog, its head tilted to the side, tongue lolling out. I used 7/10 of my strength to deal with a mere commander. I still have room for improvement, Mu Hongyun thought to himself. Zhan Kong and the Sky Eagle squad behind him were dumbfounded. Was it really over? The winged wolf, which required at least 4 high-level first-class mages to kill, was brutally murdered by this young man. This made the Skyhawk soldiers behind Zhan Kong wonder if all the magic they had learned over the years had been wasted. With the winged wolf dead, the remaining demonic wolves around it turned and ran towards the outskirts of Bo City like stray dogs. Damn it, now that our boss is dead, we're going back to seize the family fortune and our sister-in-law's share, Commander Zhan Kong. According to the rules, the winged wolf's corpse belongs to me, right? Mu Hongyun asked loudly. Zhan Kong forced a smile onto his stiff face and said, of course, thank you for your contribution to Bo City. You're welcome, Commander Zhan Kong. I'll return to the safety barrier now. Mu Hongyun waved his hand, storing the winged wolf's corpse in his special storage, then floated up and flew towards the safety barrier. The rain began to gradually subside, and the clouds in the sky thinned. The Black Church's plan could be considered a success, or a failure. On the downsides, Winged Wolf was dead, and the Southern Ridge Wolf demons were in disarray, thwarting the Black Vatican's plan to massacre Bo City. On the upsides, the Black Vatican successfully developed the Fountain of Fury. This time it was just a small city like Bo City, but what about next time? It would be a terrifying attack that was unimaginable. As for whether Mu Hongyun, who killed Winged Wolf, would be resented by the Black Vatican, that was not Mu Hongyun's concern. The Black Vatican. How many emperors does the Black Vatican have? Now there's Emperor Huanyu, and after a few years when Emperor Jinin recovers, and after a few more years when Aoshuang and Ailing develop, I'll be the biggest beneficiary in this world. In no time, Mu Hongyun's figure appeared outside the safety barrier. Ye Xingxia noticed the returning Mu Hongyun immediately and patted Mo Fan, saying, Brother Mo Fan, Brother Mu is back. Mo Fan turned his head and saw that Mu Hongyun had already passed through the safety barrier. Meng Lan leaped out of Xingxia's arms, wobbling towards Mu Hongyun, and quickly climbed onto his shoulder. "Little one, did you really kill that bad guy?" Meng Lan clung to Mu Hongyun's shoulder like a rag doll. "Of course. When have I ever lied to you?" Traveling Panda Meng Lan's mood has reached a state of extreme joy. Number of items that can be brought back from the next trip. 2. The mysterious space in his mind provided 2 more pieces of information. Mu Hongyun was pleasantly surprised after checking them. Meng Lan's mood actually affected his cheat ability. This meant that Meng Lan could bring back 2 items next time, instead of just 1. Chapter 65 The Interplay of the 5 Elements, Mr. Q's Opportunity to Advance to Emperor. Mu Hongyun approached with light steps, looking at the shocked Mo Fan and Yi Xingxia, and said, "What's wrong? Don't you recognize me? Holy crap, old Mu, you actually killed the winged wolf." Mo Fan roughly knew Mu Hongyun was strong, but he didn't expect him to be this strong, actually managing to kill that powerful demon that dominated Bo City. Killing the winged wolf is easier than slaughtering a dog. Think about where you'll go after Bo City. The government will definitely arrange relief housing for you, Mu Hongyun asked. That's true, but we won't know which cities are included until the list comes out. The next day, at dawn, the clouds on the horizon were just parted by the wind, and the sunlight, like sharp swords, pierced through the clouds, scattering onto the mountains, rivers, and cities. Mu Hongyun hovered in midair, absorbing a wisp of purple energy, and then heard the cheers of the people. It turned out that human reinforcements had arrived. A large flock of snow-white eagles flew in under the sunlight. It was the Sky Eagle Legion of the Southern Military Region. Each eagle carried a mid-level mage. The arrival of the Sky Eagle Legion was to hunt down the demons still lingering in Bo City, slaughtering both generals and servants. The arrival of the Sky Eagle soldiers signified that the disaster in Bo City was nearing its end. Thanks to Mu Hongyun's intervention, there were no large-scale civilian casualties, only the city was destroyed. Afterwards, Mu Hongyun learned what the Heavenly Dao's reward was: merit. Heavenly Dao merit. Mu Hongyun never expected that the Heavenly Dao, which seemed to be languishing in this world, would actually bestow merit. It was truly unbelievable. Mu Hongyun absorbed the handful of merit bestowed by the Heavenly Dao into a sea of consciousness, nourishing his soul. The many wonderful uses of merit need no further explanation. It was entirely beneficial. Mo Fan ultimately chose to go to Shanghai, the largest metropolis in the south, a leader in development. Mu Hongyun, however, was going back to the Qinling Mountains. He told Mo Fan they would meet in Shanghai, and then flew towards the Qinling Mountains. From Bo City to the Qinling Mountains, even at Mu Hongyun's speed, it would take 3 hours. After all, lunar magic only controls gravity, not a true escape technique. Protected by the Golden Ape Emperor's aura, Mu Hongyun entered the Qinling Mountains as if they were empty, flying straight into the sinkhole. Small buds appeared among the pale pink petals of the old peach tree, seemingly about to bear fruit. Under the old peach tree, Qi was teaching Qi Dan, while Zuyu Qinggaya shrank in size, standing on the stone table, tilting her head to look at the two. After landing, Mu Hongyun greeted, "Mr. Qi, Sister Qinggaya." Mr. Qi was shocked to see Mu Hongyun, scattering the golden crystal in his hand and asking, "Why are you back? What happened? Did the Mu family beat you up?" Mu Hongyun chuckled and said, "Indeed, someone had designs on me, but they were outmaneuvered, so what do you want to do this time?" Mr. Qi waved his sleeve, and Tiwar appeared on its own. "It seems these heavenly saints can all control spatial power. Yanji is like that, and so is Yanjun. I've come here for you, Mr. Qi," Mu Hongyun said, sipping his tea and smiling slightly. "For me?" Qi asked, somewhat surprised. "Of course, it's for you, Mr. Qi, to become an emperor." Mu Hongyun put down his teacup, his gaze sharpening as he looked at Qi. When it came to his path to becoming an emperor, Qi wasn't overly alarmed, but said with a subtle expression, "I knew you had a way. It's not really a way, but Mr. Qi, why don't you take a gamble?" Mu Hongyun said directly. "I'll explain first, then I'll act," Qi said calmly. "Does Qi know about the 5 elements mutual generation, where one element, when pushed to its limit, will give birth to another?" Mu Hongyun asked solemnly. "I haven't heard of it," Qi replied, listening intently. "The 5 elements are metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. Earth generates metal, metal generates water generates wood generates fire, and fire generates earth, thus completing the cycle. Mu Hongyun explained the principle of the 5 elements mutual generation in simple terms. Qi Daochin closed his eyes, frowned, and pondered Mu Hongyun's words. After a moment, he understood Mu Hongyun's meaning and said with a smile, "You're planning to make me a 5 elements saint spirit, aren't you? Anyway, Mr. Qi, your lifespan is only 700 years. Why not take a gamble? Maybe you can turn a bicycle into a motorcycle," Mu Hongyun said with a smile. "Alright, let's study whether this method is feasible." Therefore, Mu Hongyun returned to the small wooden house he had built by the pool and retrieved the dragon blood wutong fruit hidden in Li Yin's storage space. For 3 days, Mu Hongyun and Qi Daochin continuously discussed the principle of mutual generation of the 5 elements. It is known that the elements in the magical world repel each other. Even the gentlest water element and plant element cannot coexist peacefully. Therefore, Mu Hongyun proposed a compromise, to integrate the power of the 5 elements into a compatible vessel, and then have Mr. Qi refine the 5 elements vessel to transcend. Speaking of this method, Mu Hongyun got the hint from a prehistoric novel. In that novel, there was a set of magical artifacts called the innate 5 elements flags, which could not only work together but also form a powerful array. As the saying goes, everything is difficult at the beginning, and Qi Daochin was stumped by the first step. Leaving aside how to generate metal from earth element, just considering how to enhance earth element, Qi Daochin was a holy spirit of earth, and his earth element limit was basically locked. I didn't expect this plan turned before it even began, Mr. Qi, please look. Mu Hongyun smiled and took out a legendary earth element artifact from his special storage, the Heart of Titan. You had this planned out back then, kid. Qi Daochin took the Heart of Titan from Mu Hongyun and said, "Speak, what do you want from me?" "I want to sign a contract with Qi. Really? You can make 2 requests now." A look of surprise instantly appeared on Qi Daochin's face, even more so than when Mu Hongyun mentioned the method to become an emperor. Qi Daochin reached out and grabbed Qion's tail, placing him in Mu Hongyun's arms. "Even with Meng Lan by your side, it's the same whether you herd 1 sheep or 2, Mu Hongyun picked up the fluffy Qion, smiling wryly. "Mr. Qi, so you've never raised a child before?" Qi Daochin said seriously. "Do I look like someone who knows how to raise children?" With that, Qi Daochin grabbed the Titan's heart and teleported back to his cave. Mu Hongyun lifted Qion, scratching his chin. "Alright, sign a contract with me, and I'll take you to see all the wonders of the world." Qion blinked his large, watery eyes, then nodded in agreement. Mu Hongyun immediately recited an incantation. This wasn't a servant contract, but a heavenly Dao contract, a contract of equality, witnessed by the heavenly Dao. In the future, if Mu Hongyun wanted to leave this world, Qion could follow him instead of being trapped within it. Chapter 66 Encountering the 3 old men upon leaving. After successfully signing a contract with Qion, Mu Hongyun, with the help of Qion's earth elemental power, finally learned the 3 supernatural abilities: earth element, stone penetration, and earth knowledge. Earth knowledge is a knowledge-based supernatural ability without levels. Standing on the earth, Mu Hongyun could understand the direction of the earth's veins, ores, dragon veins, and feng shui. In short, he had the earth's characteristics intimately understood. Stone penetration is a technique that grants immunity to both metal and earth elements, allowing him to pass through metal and stone as if ghosts couldn't see the earth, people couldn't see the wind, dragons couldn't see the fire, and fish couldn't see the water. Earth element is an earth. Earth is a technique of escaping into the earth, which, when combined with earth knowledge, is a rudimentary form of shrinking the earth to an inch. Stone penetration has 3 levels: immunity to the primordial spirit, immunity to the laws, and immunity to the great Dao. Earth element has only 1 level: familiarity upon meeting. Immunity to the primordial spirit is the literal meaning. Metal and earth-based attacks, whether elemental or spiritual, cannot harm Mu Hongyun. The phrase meeting as if old friends means that anyone whose ley lines have been explored by the earth-knowing divine power can instantly escape, even if they've never been there before. This earth-knowing divine power can also be combined with a medical divine power. Mu Hongyun can instantly know where rare and powerful herbs grow. Since Mr. Qi is still in seclusion, Mu Hongyun can only reside in the Qinling Mountains for the time being. Meanwhile, the Bo City incident caused a nationwide uproar, as there hadn't been a massacre of a city in nearly 10 years. Simultaneously, The news that the Mu family of Bo City was affiliated with a Black Vatican and the Bo City disaster emerged one after the other, inevitably leading to speculation. In an instant, the reputation of the Mu family nationwide suffered. The imperial capital Mu family immediately launched a public relations campaign, protecting Mu Ningsu, Mu Zhan, and Mu He, who had not tested positive for the Black Vatican's mark, and then clarifying that the Bo City Mu family had no connection with the imperial capital Mu family. They also promised to provide 1 billion to rebuild Bo City and resettle the disaster victims. Mu Ningsu, after all, was a bow breeder, possessing high talent. Furthermore, the number of victims in Bo City was relatively small, so the negative publicity was quickly suppressed by the Mu family. Mo Fan still went to the urban village in Shanghai, and had already helped Tang Yu deal with Zhao He, a wanted criminal by the tribunal, and refined the spirit seed, Rose Flame. Zhang Xiaohao chose to join the army, entering Zhong Kong's ranks. You and I both have bright futures. Shanghai, the largest metropolis in southern China, is also the most prosperous city in the country. This metropolis is home to over 30 million people, while the total population of China is only slightly over 1.4 billion. The number of mages among these 30 million people is countless. Beginner-level mages are everywhere, and intermediate-level mages are as common as dogs. Shallow waters cannot nurture true dragons. Running rampant in the small city of Bo City is nothing special. Is it really interesting to outweed and outmaneuver the geniuses of Shanghai? Mu Hongyun and Qi Daochen walked out of Hongqiao Airport at dusk. The afterglow of the setting sun shone on the Huangpo River, and golden ripples began to spread. The totem seemed to possess a special ability to enter the Anji, safe realm, as Baksha frequently ignored the Anji and entered and exited the East China Sea, often running off to Japan to treat it like a small island. However, the two hadn't even walked 100 meters from Hongqiao Airport when they were stopped by several people. 3 old men and a melancholic-looking middle-aged handsome man, all smiling on the outside but inwardly cursing, looked at Mu Hongyun and Qi Daochen. What do you gentlemen mean by this? Mu Hongyun raised an eyebrow. He didn't have any enemies in Shanghai. Young friend Mu, please don't misunderstand. My surname is Zhao, and I am the dean of Mingzhu Academy. You can call this old man Bao. This is Mr. Wu Yuang, the president of the Oriental Pearl High-Level Tribunal. This is Hunter King Du Zhao of the Hunter Alliance, the most benevolent-looking old man among the 3 introduced. Is there something you gentlemen here for? Mu Hongyun still didn't understand why these important figures were stopping him. Young friend Mu, let's be frank. What you did in the capital last time was absolutely terrifying. Your current identity is a national level 7 secret. We just want to know what brings you to Shanghai with the Supreme Master, Dean Zhao said with a fawning smile. He, a Grand Master of Forbidden Curses, had never needed to speak like this before, but unfortunately, the other party had an Emperor-level figure behind him. Oh, I thought it was something serious. Don't worry, Dean Zhao, I didn't come to Shanghai to fight and kill. I'm human too, and humans can't live apart from their communities. So I've come to Shanghai to settle down. Mu Hongyun laughed upon hearing this. He was afraid that Zhao would cause trouble in Shanghai again, summoning another Emperor-level figure to cause a ruckus. Settle down? Hearing these 2 words, the 3 old men became even more frightened. And what about this Supreme Master? Old man Wu Yong asked expressionlessly. Qi Daochen, with a beaming smile, said, my young friend has offended quite a few people. I've only come down from the mountain to protect him. This, Dean Zhao and Wu Yong exchanged bewildered glances. Then, an old man named Bao, whose smile was rather lewd, suddenly spoke up, are you the god of Qinling, the god of Qinling? Everyone immediately looked at old man Bao, not understanding what he meant. Old man Bao chuckled, thousands of years ago, when the 5 demons wreaked havoc on our celestial empire, a supreme ruler with a dragon's head and golden armor emerged from Qinling. He used the power of the earth to suppress one of the 5 demons, the high-ranking Dog Lord, and protected the southern human race. Therefore, that supreme ruler was also known as the god of Qinling, thousands of years ago? Suppressed the 5 demons who wreaked havoc on China? My goodness! Dean Zhao, Wu Yong, and Du Zhao immediately widened their eyes. What kind of old monster was this? Qi Daochen smiled, his voice like the clinking of gold and jade, and said, it's all in the past. I didn't expect anyone would still remember. Old Bao smiled and said, since your majesty and this young friend wish to stay in Shanghai, we naturally cannot stop you. However, If you encounter any difficulties, please feel free to come to us. We dare not act arbitrarily." Wu Yong's eyes widened. "Good lad, he's dumping all the blame on me. You do the good deed, and I'll take the responsibility? It's getting late. Perhaps your majesty and this young friend are still without lodging? Why don't you stay at my place for the night?" A glint flashed in old Bao's cloudy eyes. While others only saw danger in the two, he saw opportunity. Could someone who could be backed by an emperor and treated as an honored guest be a simple person? "Alright, but there's no need to call me your majesty. My name is Qi Daochin," Qi Daochin said with a smile. "After passing Jing'an Temple and walking along a lush, flower-lined avenue, you enter an old street with a distinctly Republican-era feel, where time seems to stand still. Upon entering the old street, a worn sign reading Qingshan Hunting Grounds hangs above a doorway. Mu Hongyun chuckled and said, "Old man, your signboard is quite simple." Old Bao grinned and said, "People say that as people get old, their blood cools, but for me, the older I get, the hotter my blood becomes, and the more I feel I haven't done enough." "Old man, you're wrong about that. It should be that when your blood cools, you get old." "Old man, you're trying to have a spring in your old age?" Mu Hongyun chimed in. Chapter 67 Goodbye Little Lolly. Old Bao pushed open the door, and the wind chimes behind it rang a few times. Before Mu Hongyun even entered, a crisp voice called out, "Grandpa, you're back." Mu Hongyun and Qi Daochin entered and immediately met the eyes of the little girl sitting at the bar. A delicate face, fair legs, and long pigtails, it was the little girl they had seen on the bullet train, the one he had helped in a crisis. So, upon meeting, like in a melodramatic soap opera, they both exclaimed, "It's you, let me introduce you, this is my granddaughter, Lingling," Old Bao said casually. Lingling's first thought upon seeing Mu Hongyun was, which powerful family is going to suffer this time? The Lu family? The Mu family? The Bai family? Or the Zhao family? Several names of powerful families from Shanghai immediately flashed through Lingling's mind. She was still terrified by Mu Hongyun's actions in the capital last time. He had been far too ruthless. "What are you doing in Shanghai?" Lingling dashed behind the bar, asking warily. "Has my reputation gotten that bad?" Mu Hongyun scoffed. "Lingling, young friend, Mu and Mr. Qi have no ill intentions in coming to Shanghai this time, so don't be afraid," said Old Man Bao. Unexpectedly, Lingling decisively shook her head and said, "Grandpa, if you're threatened by them, blink twice. I'll risk my life to rush out and call Uncle Duzio to save you." "Duzio, thank you." After saying that, Lingling's eyes reddened, seemingly moved by her own sense of righteousness. Mu Hongyun snapped his fingers, and Lingling floated up from behind the bar. She clumsily tumbled a few times in the air before floating in front of Mu Hongyun. "You little rascal, what are you imagining? In fact, I already met your Uncle Duzio before coming here." Mu Hongyun lightly flicked Lingling's head and then put her on the ground. Ouch! Lingling landed on the ground and immediately covered the spot where she had been flicked. Her eyes instantly welled up with tears, and she glared at Mu Hongyun with resentment. "Alright, Lingling, your Uncle Mu was just joking with you," Old Man Bao said with a smile. "Uncle Mu? No, why is he a generation above me?" Lingling asked, somewhat unconvinced. "Come on, call me uncle and I'll throw you into the sky," Mu Hongyun said with a laugh. "Don't even think about it," Lingling said fiercely, revealing her cute little tiger teeth. Mu Hongyun responded with a cheeky expression. Following Old Man Bao, they passed through the front hall, which served as a combination of tea room and coffee shop, and arrived at a small courtyard at the back. Old Man Bao said, "The rooms on both sides are guest rooms, you two can choose whichever you like." The two responded and then chose their rooms. The night passed quietly without incident. Early the next morning, Mu Hongyun opened the window to gaze at the sunrise, absorbing the innate purple energy brought by the transition of yin and yang at dawn. After absorbing the energy, Mu Hongyun, shirtless, began practicing the mountain-shaking fist in the courtyard. The first three realms of martial arts are body refinement, and Mu Hongyun's leap to the third realm was inseparable from the mountain-carrying technique. This technique strengthened his physique, preventing him from becoming the strongest in any realm. He could only grow stronger. At 9 o'clock, the sunlight grew increasingly intense. Mu Hongyun dressed and went to the front hall. Mr. Qi and Old Man Bao were nowhere to be seen. They had probably gone somewhere to discuss their studies. The little girl, Lingling, was sitting at the counter again, her short legs barely reaching the ground. Little girl, bring me an iced Americano, Mu Hongyun laughed. Even if you kill me, I'd never make it for you, Qinling said, sticking her tongue out at Mu Hongyun. Oh, really? Then I was thinking of letting you study this unique magical artifact. Since you don't want to, then forget it, Mu Hongyun said, seemingly quite regretful. A magical artifact. Hearing these strange things, Qingling's ears were sharper than a rabbit's. She was naturally curious about these oddities. You think I'll make you coffee just because you make up some magical artifact? Wishful thinking, Qinling glanced at Mu Hongyun furtively, pretending not to care. Is that so? Looks like these magical artifacts are indeed not meant for you. Mu Hongyun took out a water spirit talisman. The talisman ignited without fire, and a ball of water elemental energy appeared out of thin air around him. With a thought, the water sphere randomly formed various weapons, knives, spears, clubs, and so on. Before Mu Hongyun could finish his next sentence, Qingling's voice entered his ears. Uncle Mu, your iced Americano, Qingling, holding a small tray, said to Mu Hongyun with a fawning smile. Truly, you're something else, your face changes so quickly, Mu Hongyun said blankly. Uncle Mu, what are you saying? Weren't you going to give me a magic talisman? Qingling asked, her big, bright eyes sparkling. Alright, here you go. This is a 5 elements talisman. The colors on it represent their respective attributes. You don't have magic power yet, so you need to shout Qi when you use it. Eat, Qingling tilted her head. It's the Qi in Qinling, command decree. Mu Hongyun gently flicked her fair forehead. Ugh, I know. Qingling pushed Mu Hongyun's hand away, her little face flushed with anger. Ha ha ha, Mu Hongyun downed his coffee in one gulp, laughing as he walked out the door. Damn it, why does Mo Fan live so far away? Mu Hongyun complained, floating on a desolate piece of land. Originally, Mu Hongyun planned to keep a low profile, taking the subway to the edge of the city and then intending to take a taxi to Mo Fan's neighborhood. However, after hailing several taxis, they all shook their heads and said they wouldn't go when they heard where Mu Hongyun wanted to go. It was just too damn far. Mu Hongyun had no choice but to use his moon magic again to fly towards Mo Fan's neighborhood. It was called a residential complex, but the entire construction was shoddy, the floors were very close together. Luckily, Mo Fan lived on the first floor, so Mu Hongyun didn't have to climb the stairs. I'm not saying this to you, Mo Fan, how can you even live here? Mu Hongyun said, sipping the tea Zhan had brewed. You're really talking without thinking. Do you know how outrageous the housing prices in Shanghai are? Buying a house costs at least tens of millions, Mo Fan said, fanning himself with a palm leaf fan. 10 million is a lot? I can get that by selling 10 talismans. Mu Hongyun couldn't understand why Mo Fan knew the connections to Jinshan, but didn't bother to explore them. It's easier said than done. I can't just do this all year and stop cultivating. I still have to go to the academy next year. Mo Fan shook his head inwardly. That's true. What was your newly awakened element again? Mu Hongyun asked. Shadow magic and summoning magic. Shadow magic is alright, but I heard summoning magic is an extremely expensive major. Mo Fan sighed, his back already broken by life at such a young age. Sigh, poor thing, you haven't even been able to fish this year. Keep it up, and don't forget to practice your boxing while learning magic. Mu Hongyun added insult to injury. You're so scum, Mo Fan said expressionlessly. Which school does Zhan go to now? Mingzhu Affiliated Magic High School. Chapter 68 The Call of the Great Hunting King. Mu Hongyun used a rudimentary version of the shrinking earth to an inch technique to return to the Qingshan hunting grounds, thus beginning his life in Shanghai. The magic talisman tools quickly gained popularity thanks to the Qingshan hunting grounds' reputation, and the Demon Court Group officially entered the Shanghai market. However, due to the low production of spirit talismans, the industrial chain was not yet complete. With Dean Zio's help, Qi Daojun obtained the status of a history professor, allowing him to teach at Mingzhu Academy. Teaching students wasn't Qi Daojun's first experience. In a short time, Mu Hongyun bought the small courtyard next to the Qingshan hunting grounds. However, what troubled Mu Hongyun most now was Qi Yan's evolutionary path. The advancement of an elemental spirit required constantly absorbing resources of the same element to continuously strengthen its elemental body. But Qi Yan was different. Although Qi Yan was a spirit of heaven and earth, it was an elemental spirit with a physical body, which allowed it to pursue a second, or even a third, path. Unfortunately, Mu Hongyun didn't have a suitable cultivation technique for Qitian. Fortunately, Meng Lan was there to help. She could bring back 2 items from her trip. Once they entered the borders of Great Mongolia, riding beasts was far more convenient than driving. Mu Hongyun, Lingling, Xiaoding, and Dakui rented 3 wildebeest for transportation. Wildebeest are internationally recognized 7-star tame beasts and are the most common tamed animals in Great Mongolia. Unlike ordinary horses, wildebeest have demon blood flowing through their veins, making them incredibly stamina-rich, fast, and more familiar with the scent of demons, allowing them to identify dangerous areas like swamps and grassy areas. Mu Hongyun and Lingling shared a wildebeest. Meng Lan wasn't there, so only Qitian sat on his shoulders. Wow, the air quality in Great Mongolia is so much better. Compared to that, the air in Shanghai is like dog poop, Mu Hongyun said with a deep breath. That's absolutely true. The only thing Hohhot can compare to Shanghai in is probably its air quality, Dakui, a burly man like a grizzly bear, said in a deep voice. I wonder what King Dorje is doing gathering so many hunters, Xiaoding, who was only in his early 20s, asked curiously. Never mind that for now, the meeting time is tomorrow anyway. Let's go try the Mongolian mutton first. I heard it's not gamey at all, Mu Hongyun said, swallowing hard. Following the call of the Mongolian hunter king, Dorje, the group arrived in Hohhot, the largest city in Mongolia. Dorje's summons was extremely urgent, requiring only high-ranking hunters and above. The Shanghai hunter king, Du Xiao, couldn't come due to some matters, but fortunately, many master hunters from Shanghai had arrived. Such an urgent mission is probably a subjugation mission, and what makes the hunter king so nervous must be a monarch-level demon, Lingling analyzed. The 3 unicorns passed the inspection of the Hohhot city gate mages and entered the city. Once inside, the number of cars increased. Xiaoding hailed a taxi and headed to the most famous local restaurant in Hohhot. This restaurant had a distinctly Mongolian character. Behind the front hall was a large courtyard with several yurts, which served as private rooms. Mu Hongyun and his group were seated in a large private room. Likely because they had ordered a lot of food. Xiaoding said shyly, Brother Mu, did we order too much? It's alright, I ate more, Mu Hongyun replied. Mu Hongyun had ordered a whole roasted lamb and other specialty dishes. There was 1 table and 5 chairs. Besides the 4 of them, Qitian also occupied a chair. Brother Mu, you've gotten to so much trouble, I'm really sorry, Dakui chuckled, revealing his pearly white teeth. Dakui was from the northwest and had a straightforward personality. What do you mean I've gotten to so much trouble? Isn't the hunting camp paying for it? Mu Hongyun exclaimed in surprise. I'm sorry, the hunting camp's expenses only cover normal food and lodging, not this kind of lavish feasting, Lingling said expressionlessly. She was the main decision-maker for this operation, after all, she was a hunter master. Although Dakui and Xiaoding were high-level mages, they were only high-level hunters. Mu Hongyun had been exceptionally promoted to high-level hunter by the hunter king, Du Xiao. After a day of enjoyment, including a foot massage in the evening, they finally arrived at the hotel. The next day, in the main hall of the Hunters Alliance in Hohhot. The Hohhot Hunters Alliance was enormous, topped with a canopy, resembling a giant milky white yurt from a distance. The gathering time set by Hunter King Dorje was 11:30 a.m. Mu Hongyun and his companions entered the Hunters Alliance and found it even larger than the Hunters Alliance in Shanghai, though fewer in number. Hunter King Dorje was a tall, robust middle-aged man, and standing beside him was another tall man, also a Hunter King. Lingling's expression grew increasingly serious upon seeing the two. What kind of mission required the simultaneous deployment of 2 Hunter Kings? Ghost Eye Hunter King is here too, Dakui exclaimed. Ghost Eye Hunter King, which Hunter King is he from? Mu Hongyun asked curiously, poking Lingling's cheek. Lingling turned and glared at Mu Hongyun, but she had no way to punish him, so she could only mutter, Ghost Eye Hunter King is one of the Hunter Kings of Qilu. He's incredibly strong. After all, Qilu has a large population, and Hunter Kings who emerge from Qilu are generally a cut above the rest. Xiaoding, observing carefully, suddenly said, have you noticed? There are 11 teams in total. Besides us, the rest are all hunter teams from the north. Lingling and Dakui immediately looked and were surprised to find that it was indeed true. 3 hunter teams were from Qilu, 2 from Helo, 2 from the northeast, and the remaining 3 were from the province of Damang. When the time came, regardless of whether everyone had arrived, Duoji clasped his hands and said loudly, "Gentlemen, first of all, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to respond to the Hunter King's call. This mission is very urgent. I have already arranged a luncheon. Everyone, let's eat and talk." So, Hongyun and Lingling returned to the restaurant where they had eaten the day before. At the dinner table, a middle-aged hunter with 3 scars near his eyes spoke to Hongyun in a thick Shandong accent. "Brother, how come you dare to bring your family on a mission?" Hongyun replied, "Brother, we're all just henchmen. This is our leader." The middle-aged hunter's eyes widened. "This little girl is your leader, brother. Don't underestimate Lingling just because she's young. She's already a 7-star hunter master." Duckweed chimed in. "Wow, a 7-star hunter master? That's higher than me," the middle-aged man exclaimed in surprise again. "What's your name, brother?" Duckweed lit a cigarette for the middle-aged man and asked. "My surname is Yu, my nickname in the underworld is Yu's-Ioki, and my backer is Ghost Eye Hunter King," the middle-aged man said with a simple smile. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 69, Beastbone Evil Temple. "So it's 7th Master. My apologies." Duckweed's expression perfectly captured the shock and joy as he grasped the middle-aged man's hand. But putting everything else aside, anyone who followed a Ghost Eye Hunter King was no pushover. Lingling quickly found 7th Master's information on her tablet, an observer for the Ghost Eye Hunter group, a high-level mage, who joined the group 7 years ago, a 5-star Hunter Master. A 7-star Hunter Master in your teens, you must be the Cold Hunter King's youngest daughter, 7th Master said slowly, taking a drag of his cigarette. "You know my father?" This was Lingling's first question to 7th Master. "We collaborated once over 10 years ago. Back then, he wasn't the Hunter King yet, and I was just a mid-level mage. It was in the ancient capital. After that, we lost touch, only knowing that he often took his youngest daughter on missions." 7th Master briefly recounted his connection with the Cold Hunter King. After the hunters were seated, Dorj ordered the waiters to serve the food. After a hearty meal, Dorj finally began to recount the recent raid. "Gentlemen, our mission this time is to subdue a Grand Monarch-level undead beast king. It takes the form of a snake and possesses multiple attributes including darkness, curses, poison, and wind. Its hiding place is in the Beastbone Evil Temple deep within the Chilechun grassland," Dorj said gravely. "Beastbone Evil Temple." Upon hearing these 4 words, the expressions of the 3 Mongol hunter groups instantly turned serious, and they exchanged glances. It was clear that the Beastbone Evil Temple was no place of peace. "Beastbone Evil Temple, what is that?" Hongyun whispered in Lingling's ear. Lingling pushed Hongyun's face away with her delicate white hand, saying, "Don't get so close to me, you pervert." After pushing Hongyun away, Lingling said, "You know about the pyramids, right? They have nothing to do with the Beastbone Evil Temple. I just pick you up and kiss you." Hongyun's face immediately darkened. "You dare, you pervert." Lingling immediately covered her face. The Beastbone Evil Temple was built by the ancient grassland people to worship the eternal heaven, 7th Master explained with a smile as he watched the two bickering. "7th Master, how much information do you know about this mission?" Duckweed poured 7th Master some wine and asked in a low voice. "We're going deep into the grasslands this time, and we'll encounter quite a few demons. Bring all your belongings, and tell your families anything you need to say." 7th Master was always willing to offer advice. After the meal, the leaders of each team went to the 2 Hunter Kings to learn about the mission information. When the hunters saw the teenage girl Lingling walk up, they all showed expressions of shock and curiosity. When Dorj saw Lingling, his face instantly darkened. Which hunting group was playing tricks on him? "Little girl, which hunting group are you from? Let the real leader come here." This isn't a time for jokes. Although Dorj's face was dark, he still spoke patiently to Lingling. Lingling, a 7-star hunter master from the Azure Sky hunting grounds. Lingling didn't defend herself, coolly showing Dorj her hunter's badge. Azure Sky hunting grounds. Dorj frowned, clearly unfamiliar with the name. The old established Qingshan hunting grounds in Shanghai, the one that produced a Hunter King. The aloof Ghost Eye Hunter King chimed in, trying to smooth things over. Upon hearing about the old Shanghai organization that had produced a Hunter King, Dorj immediately recognized it. It wasn't a secret that the Cold Hunter King often took her youngest daughter on missions. Dorj realized this must be the Cold Hunter King's youngest daughter. Dorj and the 11 other hunters formed a circle around him. Dorj sighed and began recounting the details of the mission. A month ago, Dorj had ventured deep into the grasslands on a mission, encountering the dead serpent demon lord on the outskirts of the Black Forbidden Land. At first, Dorji thought it was just a mountain range and didn't pay much attention, continuing his pursuit of their prey. It wasn't until the mountain-like demon lord slowly moved and completed its strangulation that Dorji realized the truth. However, his realization came a little too late. Everyone except Dorji escaped alive, forever trapped inside. According to Dorji's recollection, the demon lord's writhing movements created a sandstorm that blotted out the sky. Its enormous body was like a city wall, and its terrifying, pale head contained crimson soul fire. Behind the demon lord lay the Beastbone Temple, overflowing with treasures. Dorji dared not linger and frantically fled back to the city. Even after returning to Ho-Hot, the terrifying image of the demon lord didn't disappear from his mind. Whenever Dorji prepared to meditate, a pair of eyes filled with crimson flames would appear in his magical universe. Dorji knew he was under the spell of the soul-locking ability. Those whose souls were locked would have all attacks amplified infinitely in their minds. Even a small fire would be magnified into a raging inferno. After searching through several shamans with shamanic lineages, they finally learned the details of the Serpent Demon Lord. According to the shamans, the Serpent Demon Lord was one of the most terrifying beings in the existing Beastbone Evil Temple, its predecessor being the Black Python God from the Chu Han period, a descendant of the Hao Clan Demon Lord, one of the 7 warring states. Gentlemen, regardless of the success of this operation, I will pay each hunter group 300 million in cash. If you find any resources along the way, you can take them yourself. If we can finally slay the Serpent Demon Lord, then the treasures in the Beastbone Evil Temple will be divided equally among us. Dorj's voice was like muffled thunder. After Dorj finished speaking, the leaders of each group returned to their respective teams with varying expressions and complex emotions. Lingling returned to her group, her delicate face showing some distress. In her opinion, this operation had gone a bit too far. Why do you look so miserable after just one trip? Mu Hongyun said, amused, looking at the sullen Lingling. Sigh, Lingling sighed deeply and said, I should have known better than to accept this mission from King Dorj. What's wrong? Daqui and Xiaoding asked one after another. The target of this mission is a bit too much? Its strength should be around that of a Grand Monarch, and it's an undead creature with immortality. Lingling shook her head. Daqui and Xiaoding are only high-level mages. The only way for a high-level mage to fight a Grand Monarch is to overwhelm him with sheer numbers. Mu Hongyun's combat strength is unknown. But Lingling guesses that he probably can't defeat a Grand Monarch either. I have to say, Lingling, you guess right. Give everyone an afternoon to prepare, and we'll go straight to the grasslands tomorrow morning. After returning to the hotel, Daqui and Xiaoding went straight into meditation, seemingly planning to get themselves into peak condition. Lingling, on the other hand, was researching information about the Beastbone Evil Temple in the living room. Mu Hongyun thought, why bother researching information? Wouldn't it be better to just ask Qi Daojin, this living old relic? He made a phone call. Hello, the call connected, and Qi Daojin, who was at the hunting lodge the day before yesterday, was drinking tea and responded calmly. Mr. Qi, do you know about the Beastbone Evil Temple? Mu Hongyun asked directly. Beastbone Evil Temple? Never heard of it, Qi Daojin thought carefully, but indeed didn't recall anything like it. It's a temple built on the grasslands using the bones of demons, used by the grassland people to worship the eternal heaven. Perhaps the name has changed slightly over thousands of years, so Mu Hongyun simply explained the general situation to Qi Daojin. Built from demon bones, used for sacrifices. Hearing Mu Hongyun's description, Qi Daojin immediately understood what it was. I know what you mean by the Beastbone Evil Temple, Qi Daojin said confidently. Chapter 70 Yokeg? In the vast, desolate mountains, surrounded by towering peaks and deep ravines, the majestic mountains stand tall and imposing. The early morning sun, like rolling clouds of gold, bathes the land in its warmth. Hidden among these mountains is a village of moderate size. In the center of the village stands a colossal tree struck by lightning, its diameter easily exceeding 10 meters. The single willow branch atop it, after absorbing the morning light, loses its divine radiance and returns to its ordinary state. Beneath the tree lies a 2-year-old child, resembling an adorable porcelain doll with glossy black hair. Though his eyes are not visible, one can sense their extraordinary spirit. From the age of 1, the little one has often made strange movements, sometimes imitating the heavens and earth, sometimes nature, the universe, and all things in the universe. The village elders simply believe the little one is imitating the older children practicing martial arts and pay no further attention. Only the willow tree spirit in the center of the village knew that the little one was cultivating an invincible imperial technique. She was extremely shocked, because even in the upper heaven sea, there was no imperial technique. How could a child in this mere lower realm, whose supreme bone had been taken, learn it? Time and space suddenly stopped, the two rivers of time and years exchanged and alternated, and a mysterious black hole suddenly appeared beneath the lightning-struck willow tree. Even the power of the willow tree spirit could not invade the world behind the black hole. Until a round black and white ball emerged from the black hole, time and space returned to normal, and the black hole disappeared. This world, why does it feel somewhat familiar? Meng Lan raised her paw and scratched her head, then saw the charred lightning-struck wood. She glanced at it but didn't pay attention to it anymore, instead noticing her little brother sitting on the rock below. Yo, isn't this the little brother whose heart was ripped out? Although Meng Lan didn't recognize Shihao, she sensed the dragonless heart technique within him, which she had used to compensate him. Little bro, wake up. Sobbing, Meng Lan patted Shihao's little face with her paw. Shihao, who was in the middle of cultivation, naturally woke up and opened his eyes to see Meng Lan standing in front of him with her hands on her hips. Oh, big bear, eek. Shihao's expression brightened the moment he saw Meng Lan. Although her memories were sealed due to nirvana, she recognized him because of the Dragonless Heart Sutra and Meng Lan's rescue. He immediately stood up and hugged her. Help! You're molesting a bear. Sobbing, because Meng Lan was standing, she was unsteady and was easily knocked to the ground by Shihao. Time flew by, and 3 months passed in the blink of an eye. Meng Lan had become quite familiar with Stone Village, incredibly skilled. She exchanged the stolen primordial purple key with a willow god for 2 immortal king techniques. As for how the primordial purple key came about, that's another sad story. Anyway, it's almost time for Meng Lan's return, and she and Shihao discuss why they shouldn't become sworn brothers. Shihao gives Meng Lan a thumbs up. And so, beneath the willow god's true form. Today, Meng Lan, sobs, Shihao, sobs, hereby we become sworn brothers, sobs. Just as they finished their oath, Meng Lan's travel time was up. And she was forcibly returned by the mysterious space within Mu Hongyun's body. According to Qi Daochen's explanation, the Beastbone Evil Temple method originated from the Dongai tribe. In that era when magic was not prominent, humans usually used demons to fight demons. However, the earliest evil temples were constructed with human bones, and then offered the blood of demons to the beast souls, which then fed back power to the humans. Later, magic replaced the art of beast sacrifice, but this strange art did not disappear, as mages were always few in number, and most humans still use this method. However, this method eventually went astray, because the violent beast souls of demons would gradually influence those who performed the sacrifices, and demons were difficult to kill, while humans were easy to kill. Therefore, wars frequently broke out during the spring and autumn and warring states periods, until the first emperor swept through the 6 demon kingdoms, unified the land, established a Qin dynasty, and then burned books about beast sacrifice and buried alive the families associated with the way of beast sacrifice. This is what later became known as the burning of books and burying of scholars. However, the way of beast sacrifice did not truly disappear. After the first emperor's death, the art of beast sacrifice, which had gone astray, gradually reappeared in the northern plains, Japan, and the western regions. It was probably passed down by the descendants of the 6 demon kingdoms. After all, the descendants of the demon lords were numerous, and apart from the complete annihilation of the Yan kingdom, some of the other 5 kingdoms had escaped to varying degrees. The Beastbone Temple deep within the northern plains, also known as the Chilechlan grassland, is highly likely the work of the descendants of the Zhao clan demon kingdom. Mu Hongyun and Lingling exchanged glances. They had only intended to inquire about the origins of the Beastbone Temple, but Mr. Qi, once he started talking, began recounting events from the tribal era. Qi Daochen, on the other end, leisurely sipped his tea and said, according to the nature of beast sacrificing techniques, there must be something closely related to beast sacrificing within the Beastbone Temple. If that artifact is destroyed, it will most likely dissipate into the world, What about the small probability? Mu Hongyun asked. That small probability is something I can't control. After all, so many years have passed, and magic has developed to the 19th element. How would I know what changes the beast sacrificing techniques might have undergone? Hideochin waved his hand. Mu Hongyun pondered. It did indeed make sense. Just as Hideochin hung up the phone, Meng Lan passed through the black hole and landed directly on Mu Hongyun's shoulder. Traveling Panda has brought back 2 golden items for you. Willow God Technique and 8-9 Heaven Skill. Meng Lan's status, abnormally healthy. Next trip time, 4 months. A deep voice echoed in the mysterious space. Mu Hongyun, upon hearing this voice, froze in place, dumbfounded. 2 golden items, how much of his luck had been drained? Mu Hongyun hurriedly activated the Great Luck Kishingu, only to see the luck absorbed by the goo completely depleted. Fortunately, Mu Hongyun and Mo Fan had a luck link, otherwise, given his bad luck, he might have encountered a demon lord as soon as he left the grasslands. The Willow God Technique is on par with the 10 ancient ferocious treasures, a supreme treasure that integrates life, nirvana, creation, and other great principles. The Willow God has been reborn multiple times using this technique, each rebirth stronger than the last. The 8-9 Heavenly Techniques is a method no weaker than the 10 fierce treasures, and even more powerful in some aspects. It is the inherited technique of the Demon Ape clan, an ancient combat scripture specifically crafted for humanoid beings. Want to learn the Willow God Technique? Want to learn the 8-9 Heavenly Techniques? 2 more gilded characters appeared in the mysterious space. Chapter 71 Serious Pass. The 2 cultivation methods were incredibly obscure and profound. Even with the help of the mysterious space, Mu Hongyun had only grasped less than 1/10,000th of them. The 8-9 Heavens technique was also suitable for Qi Tian. It must be said, Meng Lan really got things done. She directly found the most suitable cultivation method for her good brother. The next day, the group, fully armed, arrived at the Hunter Alliance to assemble. It was rare to see such a large group of over 40 people, especially with a Hunter King leading the team. Hunter King Dorji even summoned his contracted beast, a South China Sand Flame Tiger at the level of a minor commander, whose aura was even stronger than Hunter King Duzio's Azure Horned Beast. To distinguish themselves from other teams, everyone wore black and red windbreakers, cowboy hats, and sunglasses, since the sunlight on the grassland was quite harsh. I heard that although the wind on the grassland is not as fierce as the wind on the Qinling Mountains, it is still quite sharp. Lingling, your little face will get too soft and tender, Mu Hongyun said to Lingling with a mischievous smile. Get lost, Lingling pushed Mu Hongyun away again. You're a pervert. The group entered the Chilechun grasslands from the north of Hohot. Upon entering, the lush green grass and azure sky were breathtaking. The rolling hills, the boundless grassland, and the mist-shrouded icebergs were so beautiful. Duqui took a deep breath of the refreshing air, seemingly captivated by the scenery, and said with a smile, "It wouldn't be bad to retire here when I'm old." Xiaoding smiled and said, "Brother Kui, you're already thinking about retirement as soon as you have a daughter." Senior brother Xiaoding, Mu Hongyun and Lingling called out simultaneously. Xiaoding turned to look at them, and they both said at the same time, "Don't plant your flag." Xiaoding was forcibly planting a flag for Duqui, who hadn't even mentioned it. My bad. Xiaoding immediately realized his mistake and patted his mouth. Although they were now in the grassland, they hadn't left Anji yet. This entire grassland was a scenic area. After traveling about 10 kilometers north, a majestic city wall came into view, like a winding black dragon crawling across the grassland. Enduring millions of years of wind, frost, and rain, it had withstood the attacks of demons. This was the Qianlang Pass fortress, guarding the backbone of the Celestial Empire and defending against the grassland demons beyond the pass. At midday, the fortress gates opened wide, and the Hunter King Dorj greeted the officer standing on the city wall from afar. Atop the high wall, an officer with wings of wind spread behind him flew down. His face was dark, likely due to years of weathering. "Hey Dorj, such a large group," the officer greeted warmly, then looked surprised upon seeing the group of hunters behind Dorj. "What happened last time can't be forgotten," Dorj said, patting the officer's shoulder. "Return safely." The officer's lips moved slightly, but he only managed to utter 4 words. Mu Hongyun stared in shock at the majestic Qianlang Pass. The walls on both sides stretched as far as the eye could see. Such a massive project required at least dozens of Earth-type super-level mages, and possibly even Earth-type forbidden spell mages. After exiting the pass, the scenery was different from what he had seen before. The lush green grasslands seemed to be painted with a layer of oppressive gray, and the sky was no longer azure. Not long after, 7th Master returned to the center of the group and found the Qinling hunting group. 7th Master, aren't you the observer? Why are you in the middle? Dakui asked curiously. You little rascal, you even went to investigate me. 7th Master glanced at Dakui, then explained, I'm not familiar with the terrain of Da Meng, and the observer in Dorj Hunting King's team is no less capable than me. He led the Da Meng hunting group's observers to survey the terrain. Without 7th Master, who wouldn't know your name? Dakui smilingly. Girl, have you ever been to Great Meng? 7th Master asked, chewing a blade of grass he picked from the ground. No, Lingling answered readily. Then you'd better be careful. Great Meng is much more dangerous than the city, especially the demons on the grasslands. If they encounter humans, it's a fight to the death. 7th Master shook his head. Suddenly, one of the observers leading the way returned. Hunting King Dorj asked, Little Fourth, what's the situation ahead? Little Fourth was an observer for the Great Meng Nine Nether hunting group. He was tall and well-proportioned, around 30 years old, and a mid-level mage. A swamp has appeared within a 5-kilometer radius ahead. The exact size is unknown, but it's already over 50 meters deep, and there are snake-like demons of warrior level living in the swamp. Little Fourth spoke quickly, but his breathing was very steady. Let's go take a look first. Dorj and Ghost Eye discussed it and decided to go and check it out first, avoiding it if possible. In less than 20 minutes, they arrived at the swamp that Little Fourth had mentioned. Unlike the hidden swamps, this swamp was more like a mudflat, with thick, sticky mud laid out directly in front of you. Whether you cross it or not is up to you. Soon, a woman appeared on the left side of the swamp, seemingly floating on the breeze. She was one of the observers, from the Great Meng Mastiff King hunting group. Hualing, what's the situation over there? Sandao, the leader of the Mastiff King hunting group, stepped forward and asked. About 7 kilometers away is the territory of the Swordhorn Demon Sheep, about 50 of them. We haven't seen the leader, so it's probably not easy to cross, Hualing said, her forehead covered in sweat. The Swordhorn Demon Sheep are demons of the Great War General bloodline. Although they don't eat people, they like to stab people with their sword-like horns. Soon, a mysterious shadow returned from the other side of the swamp, transforming into a short man. Wang Ying, how is it over there? Dorj, seeing his observer, immediately stepped forward and asked. The swamp only extends 5 kilometers that way, but if you go around it, you have to pass through the Red Demon Falcon's hunting grounds. Wang Ying's expression wasn't very good. The Crimson Falcon, also known as the headshot expert, can reach speeds of up to 1,000 meters per second. In other words, if it wanted to attack a human, the human wouldn't even have time to react before being blown to the head. Damn it, these demons are deliberately trying to prevent us from getting through. Sandao spat on the ground after hearing Wang Ying's words. We definitely can't go that way with the Crimson Falcon. Cross the swamp or take the detour through the Swordhorn Ghost Sheep. Choose one, Ghost Eye Hunter King said. Actually, there's another way, a young voice said. The foreman and observers immediately looked up and saw a very handsome young man. You are. Dorj didn't recognize which foreman subordinate Mu Hongyun was. My name is Mu Hongyun, I'm from the Azure Sky hunting team. Mu Hongyun walked up to the foreman and said without changing his expression. You say you have a way, what is it? Ghost Eye Hunter King asked, squinting his eyes. Although Dorj and the others didn't think much of Mu Hongyun, they still wanted to hear his plan. Chapter 72 Mud-Armored Crocodile. That is to have someone lure away the Swordhorn Demon Sheep. Mu Hongyun coldly stated a cruel plan. Dorj, Ghost Eye, Three Knives, and the other leaders exchanged glances. They had considered this method, but having just set off, they couldn't decide which team to send to distract the Swordhorn Demon Sheep. Young man, although the Swordhorn Demon Sheep are merely demons of warrior blood, these demons are incredibly fast. Even a mid-level wind element mage wouldn't dare to provoke them lightly. Ghost Eye's voice was somewhat hoarse. Let's tentatively set this as the second plan. The first plan is still to cross the swamp, and the third plan is to launch a direct attack on the Swordhorn Demon Sheep. Dorj finalized, saying, 7th Master, you and Blue Blood leader go. Alright, 7th Master, I'm entrusting my life to you, Blue Blood said generously. Don't worry, Blue Blood leader. Blue Blood walked to the edge of the swamp, releasing a chilling aura. 4 thick ice locks pierced the swamp, freezing the murky mud. Gradually, blue frost condensed on the swamp, and a hazy chill began to spread to the surrounding area. Blue Blood stepped forward and stomped on the swamp, feeling it was sufficiently frozen. He carefully stepped onto the swamp, controlling the ice lock to freeze the path ahead, while simultaneously guarding against attacks from the demons lurking in the mud. 7th Master and Blue Blood stood back to back, warily watching the swamp beneath their feet. After walking about 30 meters, Mu Hongyun's divine sense suddenly detected a massive aura emerging from beneath the swamp. Little before Mu Hongyun could finish speaking, a tremendous sound erupted from the swamp. In an instant, the mud and water churned, the newly frozen mud and water shattering instantly. 7th Master, a veteran of the martial world, knew exactly what to do as Mu Hongyun called out. At the same time, the wind constellation connected, grabbing Blue Blood's arm and taking flight. Wind wings, a high-level wind magic, and the only flight magic among the 19 magic types. Each level grants an additional pair of wings, doubling the speed. Beneath the swamp, a colossal maw of abyss suddenly emerged, lunging at 7 and Blue Blood like a prehistoric mosasaur. Daji and Ghostai, the 2 hunter kings, reacted fastest, unleashing their magic. Rock Demon's Eye, Heavenly Veil, Ghost Wood Hand, Execution. Daji swiftly connected to an earth elemental constellation, ignoring the beast's eye blazing with golden light in the sky. The earth trembled, and countless glittering sand grains floated in the air, changing their attack methods according to Daji's whims. Sandstorm Burial, Daji's eyes gleamed brilliantly. Who knew this old guy was a Naruto fan? The diamond-like sand grains clung tightly to the swamp monster's body, preventing it from burrowing back into the mud. Ghost Eye, the Hunter King, was equally swift. On the desolate grassland, the earth suddenly cracked open, and dozens of thick, strange vines emerged, coiling into a massive, dark green hand that blotted out the sky. A dark green, devilish hand slammed down on the monster's serpentine, scale-covered body, accompanied by a whooshing sound. Mu Hongyun hovered in midair, his hands aimed at the swamp monster, controlling a powerful gravitational pull to drag it towards the grassland. Quick, pull it ashore, on the other side. Blue Blood and 7th Master had already returned to the shore. Hiss, the enormous python crocodile demon twisted its massive body, churning the swamp mud everywhere. It was only thanks to Mu Hongyun's gravitational field that the mud was blocked, otherwise, Lingling would have been turned into little mud monkey long ago. Ice lock, ice chain, ice lock, ice chain, telekinesis, phantom claw. The others, hearing 7th Master's voice, reacted quickly. Although this demon was very likely a commander-level monster, everyone present had faced a commander-level demon before. So, upon hearing 7th Master's voice, they immediately released magic to coordinate with the 2 Hunter Kings' actions. Mu Hongyun used the moon's gravity to its fullest extent, and it took the combined efforts of everyone to pull the swamp demon from the swamp onto the ground. I didn't expect there to be a mud-armored crocodile hiding in this swamp, Dorj said, somewhat shocked. At the same time, Lingling, who was behind them, also found out about the mud-armored crocodile and told Mu Hongyun and the others through their earpieces. This kind of demon is called a mud-armored crocodile. Judging from its size, this one should be at the level of a minor commander. Mu Hongyun examined the mud-armored crocodile writhing on the ground. Its body was larger than a passenger plane without its wings. Although it still had limbs, they were too thin compared to its robust body. Its back was covered with armor as hard as a crocodile's, and the rest of its body was covered with snake scales, venom spray. To be honest, the name of the demon skill is simple and crude, not very sophisticated. But don't be fooled by the simple name, its destructive power is enormous. Seeing that turning over was futile, the mud-armored crocodile decisively opened its massive jaws, its 2 venomous fangs extending from its jaws, raining down a storm of poison on the hunters. Damn it, not all hunters could afford shield and armor magic tools. Most hunters' earnings went to their families, so at this moment, most hunters scurried away, hiding in fear. Golden Spirit Talisman. Mu Hongyun pulled out a Spirit Talisman, controlling the power of the Golden Spirit to create a thin layer of golden light to shield himself and Lingling. Duqui and Xiaoding also had Spirit Talismans on them, using their power to resist the mud-armored crocodile's venom. Fortunately, no one was injured in this attack. You stinking mudfish, I'll turn you into a dead mudfish. Duqui clapped his hands, his entire body erupting with a fiery aura, crimson flames swirling around him. Heavenly flame funeral, hellfire, a fierce constellation shone brightly above Daqui's head. Looking down from above, one could see crimson veins extending from Daqui's feet. Flames, burn all living beings, Daqui roared, and pillars of exploding flame rose from the earth, the rolling heat scorching everyone's bodies. Boom, 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 a series of booming sounds followed, and several more thick pillars of fire erupted from the earth, transforming the land into a magnificent fiery spectacle. As Daqui's voice grew louder, the power of the flames increased. The moisture on the mud-armored crocodile's surface was rapidly dried, its scales cracking, unable to withstand the intense heat. Its wild body writhed madly. Several rocks that seemed to grow from the ground were shattered by its savage tail. Dorj stood not far away, one hand covering his face, exclaiming in horror, "Such powerful flames! A level 2 high-level spell can actually unleash the power of a level 3, awakening, thunderbolt." Boom! Having dodged the rain of venom, the little cauldron instantly completed its lightning star map. A bolt of lightning, carrying dark light, descended, striking between the eyes of the mud-armored crocodile. Violent thunder coursed through the crocodile's body, combining with the remaining fire elements to create an explosive roar. The little cauldron stood beneath the lightning of the heavens, its eyes gleaming brightly. Chapter 73 The Hunter's Fate. Sword Technique. White Lake. Mu Hongyun waved his hand, a flash of silver light, and a finely crafted bone sword flew up. Buzz! The sword light sliced through the sky, like a pebble thrown into a calm lake, creating ripples. The same principle applied to sword energy. Mu Hongyun unleashed sword energy, each strike stronger than the last, relentlessly bombarding the mud-armored crocodile's head. This bone sword was forged from the winged wolf's spine, combined with its horns and teeth. It wasn't a magic weapon or a magical artifact, just a simple bone sword. Splash, splash, splash. It was the sound of lake water colliding. The sharp sword energy even overshadowed the raging flames. An invisible sword energy sliced through the mud-armored crocodile's body. Blood blossomed from its massive body, like a giant flower of blood blooming on its skin. Dorj shook his head in shock. "I don't understand." Ghost Eye shook his head in confusion. "I second that." Two seasoned hunters, veterans of many years, were completely baffled by the magic Mu Hong was using, and were filled with awe. The more one sees and the more one knows, the more one feels one's own insignificance. Although Hunter King Dorj and Hunter King Ghost Eye didn't know what magic Mu Hong was using, those at their level had come to understand that nothing is surprising anymore. The White Lake sword technique only injured the mud-armored crocodile, not killed it. After being attacked repeatedly, the mud-armored crocodile finally straightened its body, and within half a minute, the wounds inflicted by the sword energy began to heal slowly. "Everyone be careful, this guy is very fast," Hunter King Ghost Eye warned the hunters. Swoosh 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 swoosh. The mud-armored crocodile's body twisted, its scales scraping against the gravel, making a crisp sound. Like an out-of-control train, it crashed headlong into the hunters. "Careful!" Mu Hongyun grabbed Lingling's arm and carried her into the sky. Other hunters also used their own unique abilities, and not all of them could dodge the attack. For example, a woman in her mid-20s from the Hello Wind and Cloud hunting group, a graduate of Luoyang Academy, couldn't dodge the charge of the mud-armored crocodile and was crushed into a bloody pulp. This was the first casualty in the group. Clang, clang. The man who witnessed the woman's death roared uncontrollably. He was her lover, named Zhao Kong. The two were a couple who graduated from Luoyang Academy together and planned to get married this October, then live happily ever after in a small town. Unexpectedly, just half a month after their engagement, they were separated by death. Zhao Kong's eyes were bloodshot as he roared angrily, "Beast, I will make you pay for this in blood." Silent thunder, death ray, thunderstorm. Zhao Kong unleashed his strongest attack magic. Thunder snakes danced wildly, thousands of lightning bolts coiled around his hands, and the purple constellation radiated a majestic heavenly power. Zhao Kong had no time to think. The dense beam of lightning wrapped around his arm blasted towards the mud-armored crocodile's body. At that moment, no matter how tough the crocodile's scales were, they couldn't withstand the terrifying power of the lightning beam. The dense lightning element even attracted lightning from the clouds above to strike the crocodile. The purple lightning relentlessly bombarded the crocodile's body for a full half-minute before its power began to gradually diminish. When the lightning dissipated, Zhao Kong collapsed to his knees as if all his strength had been exhausted, tears of regret streaming down his face. Like a dog with its spine removed, he slowly bent over. "Watch out!" Suddenly, He heard other people's exclamations. Before he could even look up, he felt himself being lifted into the air. After spinning several times in the air, he finally saw what was happening below. Even a centipede doesn't die easily. The mud-armored crocodile, in the instant he lowered his head, twisted its massive tail and slammed it down on his location. Thus, both the men were killed. Dang dang, Xiao Zhao, the leader of the Wind and Cloud hunting group, was a woman in her 40s, nicknamed Red Sparrow. She gave off a fierce aura, like a mother leopard. This time, she brought 3 people with her. Besides the fallen Dang Dang and Zhao Kong, there was also a man in his 30s. Such was the fate of hunters, few met a good end, most dying outside the safe zone. Red Sparrow, please accept my condolences, Ghost Eye said, patting her shoulder. Red Sparrow didn't respond. After a few minutes of silence, she quickly recovered from her grief. Another man in the Wind and Cloud hunting group collected the 2 men's belongings and then cremated them. Mu Hongyun and Lingling turned their faces away. Xiao Ding leaned closer with a sly grin and said, "This is the hunter's fate. What if I'm the one lying there next? I'll have to trouble you, Chief, to take my ashes back." Lingling, being only a child of about 10 years old, instantly reddened at Xiao Ding's words. She looked up at him with a wrong expression and said, "I won't let you say such things, okay, I won't say it." Lingling, don't cry. Seeing that Lingling had actually taken it to heart, Xiao Ding quickly comforted her. Mu Hongyun didn't dwell on the matter for long. He focused his divine sense on the mud-armored crocodile and confirmed that it was indeed it. The group quickly dissected the mud-armored crocodile's body. Mu Hongyun, who had contributed, took most of the strange blood. Duckui also received a portion, and the rest was divided among the others. After 7th Master and the cold-blooded chief scout ahead again, the group crossed the swamp. Because dealing with a mud-armored crocodile had taken a lot of time, it was already sunset before they had walked for long. Dorji decided to camp under a poplar tree, using it as a marker. Several teams formed a triangle and lit 3 campfires. The teams included Qingshan Hunting Grounds, the Northeast Snow Peak Hunting Group, and the Shandong Zodiac Hunting Grounds. The Snow Peak Hunting Group was a master-level hunting group in northeast China. Such groups were neither numerous nor few. Their leader was an old man named Silver Fox, with 2 subordinates, Yunfeng and Shenan. Unlike the Snow Peak Hunting Group, a master-level group, the Zodiac Hunting Grounds was an old hunting ground in Shandong, existing even longer than Qingshan Hunting Grounds. This hunting ground had 12 teams, named after the 12 zodiac animals. The team that arrived this time was the Zodiac Dog Team, consisting of 4 people. The leader was a composed man named Xiangao. The remaining 3 were Kangao, Legao, and Higao. Poison powder was scattered around the campsite, and the teams formed a triangular formation. Aside from Mu Hongyun and Lingling, everyone else quickly entered meditation after finishing their food, restoring their magical energy. Sai Lingling sighed, placing her small feet on Mu Hongyun's crossed knees. "What's wrong? Why is the clever and quick-witted Master Lingling sighing too?" Mu Hongyun teased. "There's no internet here." Lingling's expression instantly froze, her delicate and beautiful face drooping. Chapter 74 Thrilling Werewolf Game. "Oh," Mu Hongyun responded indifferently. This little girl wasn't easily frightened. "Oh? All you can say is oh?" Lingling kicked Mu Hongyun a few times, still not satisfied, and said, "What do you think I should do now? If you have nothing better to do, just sleep. You dare to kick your Uncle Mu today, you'll dare to eat people tomorrow." Mu Hongyun stretched out his claws towards Lingling. "Let me make it clear beforehand, I'm not a pervert." "Someone's dead." Just as Mu Hongyun was about to succeed, someone suddenly shouted. Mu Hongyun quickly stood up, and the others in meditation also quickly opened their eyes. Mu Hongyun strode over. It was Red Sparrow who shouted. They, along with the Mastiff King Hunting Group, the Golden Sand Hunting Group, and the Iron Blade Hunting Group, were guarding one corner. The Iron Blade was another hunting group from Helluo. Their leader, Tian Yan, was a 9-star hunter master with a super-level cultivation and had experienced the mission of hunting monarchs. The leaders of each hunting party gathered around. Except for Lingling, who was accompanied by Mu Hongyun, no one underestimated Mu Hongyun after the day's battle. Duji, the Hunter King, leader of the Golden Sands hunting party, said with a somber expression, "The one who died was a young brother from the Iron Blade hunting party, named Zhang Yang." Tian Yan, the leader of the Iron Blade party, looked gloomy. Anyone would be upset if a young brother died without explanation. Because everyone depleted some magic energy during the day, we had Zhang Yang and Bone Man keep watch together while the others focused on replenishing their magic energy. But just now, Bone Man suddenly noticed that Zhang Yang wasn't speaking, and when he looked again, Zhang Yang was already dead. Daji explained to everyone. Bone Man, did you notice anything unusual? Ghost Eye turned to the pale-faced Bone Man after hearing Daji's words. No, we were keeping watch back to back. He was facing the campfire. 3 minutes ago, we were talking, and suddenly I sensed the scent of dark energy, and then Zhang Yang was dead. Bone Man's voice was very hoarse. Can you determine what type of dark energy it is? Ghost Eye asked further. There are many types of dark energy, but currently only 4 are open to humans in the dark dimension: shadow, curse, undead, and poison. Very violent, definitely not undead energy. Bone Man thought for a long time before slowly saying. The Snow Peak hunting group crouched down to examine Xiang Yang's corpse, their slightly narrowed eyes revealing a glint of light as they said, "There's no dark matter left inside the corpse. It doesn't seem like a shadow creature did it." Hongyun felt a sense of unease, because even with his divine sense constantly extended, he hadn't detected any creature approaching. Alright, let's send Brother Xiang Yang on his way first. After fruitless discussion, the leader of the Three Blades suggested that they cremate Xiang Yang first. Hearing this, Tian Yan closed his eyes. Xiang Yang was his younger brother whom he had raised himself. The two had spent over 8 years together, yet now he had died mysteriously on the grasslands. He couldn't forget it, so he said, "Greedy Wolf, come on." Greedy Wolf was also a member of the Iron Blade Hunters, a scarred, carefree man. Although Greedy Wolf still had a wicked smile on his face, Hongyun could sense the sadness in his eyes. Go home, brother, head south. Don't look back. Greedy Wolf's powerful control made the level 2 fire spray flow like water onto Zhang Yang's body. The crimson flames landed on Zhang Yang's pale face, quickly igniting a raging fire, the flames flying and illuminating everyone's faces. There were only 3 hours left until dawn. After such an incident, no one could meditate peacefully. They all guarded the campfire, waiting for dawn. Hongyun, Lingling, Xiangao, and Yinhu returned to their assigned fire corners. The other members all stared wide-eyed at the 4 of them. Their eager eyes were practically asking what had happened. Brother Mu, what happened? Xiaoding asked curiously in a low voice. A member of the Iron Blade Hunters has died. The cause of death is unknown, only that he died from dark energy, Hongyun said calmly. The cause of death is unknown? So many veteran hunters can't figure it out, Dakui asked, frowning. Veteran hunters aren't omnipotent. There are too many strange things in this world. Don't treat what's in books as gospel. It will do you a great favor, Silver Fox said, tapping his pipe on the ground. What are you saying, sir? Dakui exclaimed angrily, like a wronged wife. I've never been to school. Silver Fox looked astonished. Who cares if you've been to school or not? Are you crazy? I've never seen the stars up close before. Li Gu from the Zodiac Hunters looked up, instantly becoming somewhat mesmerized. Li Gu was a handsome man with a very hearty laugh. This is probably one of the few benefits of going on missions, being able to see natural landscapes that you can't see in the city anytime, anywhere, Silver Fox said with emotion. When I was young, I saw the golden sunrise on Namchabarwa Peak in the snowy region. It was truly breathtaking, like an invisible deity showering divine light upon the sacred snow-capped mountain. Silver Fox's face clearly showed a look of rapture as he spoke of the golden sunrise, a scene that had remained unforgettable for over a decade. Golden sunrise, Lingling exclaimed excitedly upon hearing those words. Old sir, does the golden sunrise really possess magical blessing power? Lingling's pupils shone with great brilliance. Wait a minute, isn't the golden sunrise just an ordinary natural landscape? How does it relate to blessing power? Hongyun's little brain was a bit confused. Silver Fox glanced at Lingling in surprise, seemingly astonished that someone so young knew about the mysterious blessing power of the golden sunrise. Silver Fox explained, it's a legend from the snowy region. It says that if you happen to encounter the golden mountain sunrise on the mountaintop, you'll be blessed by the god of fortune, doubling the base power of a certain type of magic. Doubling the base power is even greater than the boost from the divine seal blessing, since most mages who receive the divine seal blessing don't even get double the boost. Really? That's a gift from nature, Little Cauldron exclaimed in surprise. I've heard the legend too, but I never knew if it was true, Dakui chimed in. As they talked, time quietly passed. Dawn broke, and no one died. The group extinguished the fire, packed their belongings, and continued northwest. The second shift in the group's position saw Qingdian Hunter placed at the very back, with Lingling floating behind like a ghost. She was the least strenuous, while Mu Hongyun was like a balloon tied to a leash. Mu Hongyun walked at the very back of the group, studying the Willow God technique as he went. Chapter 75 An immortal touches my head, a single inch of force opens the heavenly spirit. The group, though wounded, had trekked for 3 days and arrived at an ancient battlefield, where scaly animal bones lay scattered everywhere. The grass on the ground had thinned, replaced by more moss. This area was now within the ice plains, the heart of the grasslands and the Black Forbidden Zone. There were still 3 hours until sunset, but the group dared not venture further into the ice plains. Instead, they set up camp on the boundary between the grasslands and the ice plains to rest for the night. Mu Hongyun glanced at Dakui and asked, "Is your arm any better?" That morning, the group had been pursued by a large lair of brain-eating long-eared beasts, and Dakui's arm had been ripped off by a leader of these beasts at the peak of the warrior general level. However, thanks to the healing talisman and healing magic, it had been successfully reattached. "It should be completely healed by tomorrow," Dakui said, stretching his arms. After several days of walking, Lingling had actually gained several pounds. No wonder, she spent most of the day hovering, burning no calories. In the evening, the campfire crackled, sparks drifting into the air. This time, the Azure Sky Hunting Grounds, the Golden Sands Hunting Group, the Wind and Clouds Hunting Group, and the Mastiff King Hunting Group were stationed at the main location, while Tianyan and Ghost Eye were assigned to the other 2 corners, ensuring that each corner had a super-level mage. At night, Mu Hongyun continued to meditate on the Willow God technique with his eyes closed. As for the 8-9 Heaven skill, this was a combat scripture, which could only be comprehended in life-or-death battles. Meditation was ineffective. While everyone else began to recover their magical energy, Mu Hongyun and Lingling were left playing Go. Suddenly, Mu Hongyun frowned and said softly, "Finally, you've shown your hand." He raised his head, a strange glint in his eyes. Lingling was still racking her brains about how to play her next move when Mu Hongyun suddenly vanished mysteriously. In the left corner, behind the 9 Nether Hunting Group's leader, a man with a strange expression was quietly reaching out in all directions. "A celestial being touched my head, a single inch of force opened my heavenly spirit." Mu Hongyun's voice rang out behind the strange man as he lightly grasped the man's head. "Following me for 3 days, finally couldn't resist anymore." Mu Hongyun revealed a wicked smile. The commotion behind them caused Bafton to immediately end his meditation and stand up. "What's going on?" Bafton asked, sensing something was wrong. At the same time, the other hunters also ended their meditation and stood up one by one. "When did you discover me?" Despite being in danger, the strange man showed no panic on his face, instead asking with interest, "How did you discover me?" The others also looked at Mu Hongyun, wanting to know how he had discovered them. "Actually, I sensed something was wrong 3 days ago, but I only realized it when you were about to make your move." "You have no shadow." The others immediately looked at the strange man's feet, and sure enough, there was nothing beneath his feet. He was indeed a monster without a shadow. The hunters broke out in a cold sweat. Imagine how terrifying it would be to see a person without a shadow appear on an ancient battlefield far from human habitation. "You really found the key point. But what shadow is there to begin with?" The eerie man finished speaking, gave a bizarre laugh, and then his entire body turned into black liquid, sliding from Mu Hongyun's hand. "Sun, 5-finger fist heart sword." The supremely yang and powerful sun sword energy unleashed the 5-finger fist heart sword, grabbing at the black shadow on the ground. Sensing the deadly aura emanating from Mu Hongyun's hand, the mysterious black shadow instantly split in 2, severing its tail to escape. The remaining half of the shadow transformed into a blazing fireball in Mu Hongyun's hand. "I'll go after it," Tianyan said succinctly, her tone filled with intense killing intent. Under the moonlight, darkness reigned everywhere. Tianyan transformed into a flying shadow and gave chase. It's worth mentioning that Tianyan was also a terrifying shadow mage. Light falls over the feet, holy word, a bright light shone in the distance, Tianyan casting a high-level light magic. "Xiao Si, Yunfeng, you two go help Tianyan keep watch," Bafeng and Yinhu said simultaneously. Yunfeng and Xiaoding were about the same age, only in their early 20s, yet they were already high-level mages. Brother Mu, thank you so much. I don't know what kind of demon it is. I didn't sense it at all, Baffa belatedly realized and was a little scared. It doesn't seem like a demon, it feels more like a human, Qinling said seriously, holding her small computer. How could anyone survive in this godforsaken place? Black Dog crossed her arms, looked around, and said. Black Dog was a slender, long-legged mature woman, but her personality was completely out of place with her figure. She was more like a female college student. Girl, that's hard to say. There are countless strange things in the world. What Ling Batao said isn't without reason, Silver Fox said. During their conversation, Tian Yan, Zio Si, and Yunfeng returned. Old Yan, did you catch it? Dorj said in a deep voice. That thing isn't an ordinary demon. I saw it escape using wind magic. Everyone's eyelids twitched immediately. 70% of those who can use magic are humans. The remaining 30% is undecided. After all, in the heaven of the dead located in the ancient capital, some undead can also use magic. And the snake people in Africa can also awaken and use magic. After that, everyone returned to their respective posts and waited for dawn. Everyone, be careful. The danger level of the Black Forbidden Zone is more than 10 or 100 times that of before, so be sure to report anything in advance, Dorj shouted to the hunters in a deep voice. Little Mu, you and Red Sparrow will stay on the left wing this time. Dorj came over to Mu Hongyun and said. After these few days of fighting, Dorj could estimate that Mu Hongyun's combat power was no weaker than theirs, these super-level mages. Okay, no problem. Mu Hongyun slowly came to the left wing with Lingling's little balloon, Red Sparrow and another member, Flame Wolf. Little Mu, good morning, Qinling. Red Sparrow calmly changed her medicine and said. Good morning, Sister Red Sparrow, Mu Hongyun greeted lazily. About half an hour later, everyone was almost ready and set off. Entering the Black Forbidden Zone, one step could mean life or death. Mu Hongyun, with his sharp eyes, spotted a black tail feather peeking out on the distant horizon and immediately said, there seems to be a demon in the western sky. Qinling glanced up and then quickly looked down, saying, it's a scout from the mountain catching eagles, quickly hide. Hearing Lingling's words, everyone immediately lay down on the ground, concealing their magical aura. The mountain catching eagles were one of the most common winged demons in the Black Forbidden Zone, often mobilizing their entire tribes, thousands of them gathering like a dark cloud. The group immediately lay down, not daring to look up. The winged demons had excellent eyesight, they could spot long-eared beasts running on the ground from thousands of meters away. Therefore, calmly mimicking the winged demons was the best way to deal with them. End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all, see you in the next video.